Matchday Live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
Neves brings it down on the volley. Oh, you must be kidding me! Ruben Neves has just struck a sensational goal. Oh, it's turned in! It's the Adrian Donker who arrives. Oh, the brilliant Belgian in the right place at the right time. Calls it all. That's unbelievable. Jean Martinho has whipped it into the far top corner. Can you believe this?
A very good afternoon, or should we say good morning, because it's a very early start on this Sunday lunchtime for Wolves against Burnley from the home of football that is Molineux. There are blue skies above us, a couple of white fluffy clouds. It is pretty cold here, though. It's not quite the end of season feeling that many would suggest. Wolves trying to get as high up in the table as possible. Burnley trying to get as many points as possible to get themselves clear of the relegation shake-up. Alongside me, as ever, is the Hall of Famer Andy Thompson, who we have to mention the Sherpa Van final. Contractually, every time we play Burnley, Tomo insists that we do bring it up, and the fact that he played at Wembley and won. Also alongside us, as you can see from home, the former Wolves captain Sam Ricketts and the former Wolves goalkeeper, former Nigeria international and potential MMA superstar that is Carl Ikeme is with us as well. Boys, before we get into Burnley and the team news, let's just have a quick reflection on Sheffield United and the game last time out, because I know there will be some supporters, Tomo, who won't have felt that it was the most entertaining of performances, but Wolves found a way to win, and that can be quite key at times, and they've done it now in the last two matches.
Yeah, it was. So look, and that's the main thing there, what you just said there. So that they found a way to win, and it wasn't the most attractive of games, but what they did, they kept a clean sheet, and they got that narrow margin goal as well. So look, it's all about getting results now. So look, the safe with that result, I would say. Look, and the nerves have probably been settled a little bit more. But what they'll want to do now, with everything that's gone on this season, is try and finish as high as possible in the league. And today, it's always a difficult game for whatever reason against Burnley, but just try and get another result today so I can finish the season on a high.
Carl Ikeme, we're going to talk about goalkeepers in a bit more depth in a couple of minutes, but from a goalkeeper's point of view, clean sheets are not to be sniffed at. Two in a row, it is good going. That's into double figures for Rui Patricio now this season.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to have the clean sheets. I think it can become a habit as well when you're starting to keep, especially back-to-back clean sheets and being in double figures. When you said that, it's quite surprising, really, because we've kind of had many debate about back threes, back fives, wing backs, back fours, and how we look vulnerable at times at the back, where I suppose having 10 clean sheets actually isn't too bad in the season. So it's always helpful. It gives you a base to start off with. It gives you confidence as well that you can close games out. And I think we lacked that in spells through the season as well. So to try and get that habit again of having clean sheets is something that we need to get back to. I think when we was at our best, we weren't shipping too many goals, and it does give us a platform, especially when we're not as a free scoring team as others.
That's a good point, isn't it, Sam? That, you know, you have to build these kind of runs, and to get two back-to-back 1-0 wins, all right, in the circumstances that they were, it just allows you to grow and maybe a little bit more confidence coming into this game.
Yeah, and Keem's just hit the nail on the head there. We're not a free-scoring team. We don't score loads of goals, so we have to keep zeros and ones to give you any chance at all. Like you said, the last two games have been 1-0. We're not winning 2-0, 3-0, and it doesn't matter about conceding the odd goal then. But to give us any chance, we have to keep the goals against really down, and that's the way Wolves are. That's the way Wolves have done really well in the last couple of years. So it's vital to get the points that we need.
We'll look at the team news in just 1 second. There is no João Moutinho for Wolves today, but Ruben Neves does return from his period of isolation. So as you can see, he goes in alongside Leander Dendoncker in midfield. What's our thoughts on that, Tomo? Moutinho has just been so experienced and such a key figure, but this may be the way that Wolves will move forwards now with Neves and Dendoncker as that pair.
I would think so. I think say Neves had to miss it because of the COVID isolation, but again, I think that's probably his pairing that he would have at the moment when he's available, and that's what he's put him in there for. So like Neves, again, so we know about his talent and ability on the ball. So you've got Dendoncker, who gives him that little bit more of a presence in there. He can get from box to box a lot of the time. So look, yeah, I think it's a good combination in there. I think Aït-Nouri is coming on as well. I think he's maturing as a player, starting to look more of a defensive side than just attacking, which has made it a lot better for us as well. Because that's one of the biggest things that we get about the clean sheet is making sure that we're defensively very strong, and that's what we've got to do. But yeah, for me, I think that'll probably be the pairing that Nuno will probably be looking at a lot more with Neves and Dendoncker in there.
Because there will be a time, won't there, Sam, when he will start to think about the future, but it's not really necessarily in Nuno's mindset to go full on experimental, is it? You've been in and around the training ground working with him. That's not really his style.
No, he isn't. You know, I'm looking at the team today, and there's a little bit thinking, I wonder if like Owen Otusui would get a game, Morgan's White would get a game. We spoke about this previously, and I don't think they will. Maybe the last 2 or 3 games, I'd like to think so, but it's not Nuno's way. It's not how he's built the club up to where they are now. But there is part of me that would like to see these young lads given a go, like the experiment, like you're saying. Let's give them a go, see where they're up to, start looking for next season already. We've been talking about next season for the last couple of months now, knowing that this was a big transition year. Well, now we are safe and looking at the table. I know there's big money depending on where you finish in the league, but I think we're going to be up a place or down a place, really, unless something dramatic happens either way. So I'd like to see these young lads get a game and then get them ready to build for next year. And like you said there, experiment. You don't get many chances to experiment too much at the Premier League. And I think Wolves have got 6 games now where they can try things. If he wants to do a back four next year, go and do it for the next 5 games. Go on, let's go and really work at it, where results are important, but they're not the be all and end all. We know roughly where we're going to be. Go and try it now. Go and hammer out all the bits which are good, but also the bits that need working on before.
Well, actually, here's a point then, and all 3 of you can chip in on this one. I wonder what it's like for a player in this kind of situation, because they know they're safe, and we talk about being experimental. I don't know what message that sends to you as players in terms of your focus and concentration on the remaining games to go. How did all 3 of you handle it, really? I don't know who wants to jump in first there.
I'll go. Just on the fact that I was quite critical of us, especially at half-time last against Sheffield United, and it's not difficult because I still think there's a lot to play for in this team. Because we talk about the transition period. I think the transition period includes some of the players that are in the starting lineup who would expect to play more games than that, because this transition period is not going to finish at the end of the season. And I think there's a lot of questions to be asked about where do we want to move next season. And I think a lot of players are going to be playing, not for the Wolves' future, because I don't think it's that dramatic, but I think they're going to be playing to show if they want to be a part of the next phase of what Wolves are going to be ultimately, I think. And I think there's a lot to prove. I think Neves has been brilliant for the second half of the season, especially. I think he's been really good at chipped him with goals and started to look like the old Ruben Neves that we've seen last season. And we sort of talk about Aït-Nouri and other players in the lineup, and I think it's going to be a question mark with Nuno. I don't think he'll experiment too much. I think he's going to be looking to think, well, who do I need? Where do I need to strengthen next season? Who can I trust in that position? Because I don't think he wants another season where it's a bit stuttery again. So I think there's a lot to play for, and I think he'll be drumming that into the lads. It's not like we've been okay. He's not been as bad as some people have thought and some fans have said. We've not hit the heights of last season as well. But I think we're going to want to hit them heights of last season, next season. And I think it's really important for the lads that are playing today, and then them lads that are on the bench as well, like Owen and Morgan, they need to be doing enough on that training pitch to make Nuno pick him and to say that, well, can you do it for me next season? Can I trust you next season? So I think there's a lot to play for in and around the club, and I don't think there's anyone that will be resting on their laurels. And they're good lads. They are really good lads. They don't ever look like they're not trying or taking the foot off the gas necessarily. I think there's a lot to play for still in the games and looking into next season already.
Kings, do you think then they're playing, not so much you said there about their future, but more like, are you a starter next year? Or are you a squad player next year? Are you a starter or are you not? And that's really what you're playing for.
I think that's what it is, Sam. I think you got players like Aït-Nouri, who's young and he'll progress. And I was probably using an example where he might not be the right example, but you're looking at other players, Dendoncker, Neves, Moutinho. He's been a great player for us, but he's not going to continue to do it for the next season or the season after. I don't expect him to play 35 games next season. So I'll looking at Dendoncker and Neves. Do I need to add another one in there? Looking at the three up top, looking at Jose. Do I want to keep you?
Yeah.
Do I want you to stay? Semedo, are you going to progress to be what we think you're going to be? The three lads at the back. Do I need to bring another one in? I think there's a lot of questions around a lot of the positions, and it's not to question that any of the lads that they're not good enough. I think this is a question, like we said, there's a transition, and we do need to add to the squad. So I think that's the point I'm trying to make. I think there's a lot to play for.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that then, because we said between now and the end of the season, we will go through the different positions really and see what may or may not be needed and where we are in those. And today we wanted to focus on the goalkeepers, and therefore this is probably going to be very much pointed at you, Carl Ikeme, but Tomo and Sam, very interested in your thoughts as well, because we're in this situation where Rui Patricio has been the undoubted number one since he's arrived at the club. There is obviously question marks on John Ruddy, whether he will be here next season in terms of his contract situation, whether he would even want to be here himself next season, because he's probably of an age where he's thinking, I could go one more move and be a number one and see my way out from there. So where do you, first of all, assess where we are in the goalkeeping positions?
I still think we're strong. I think Rui's been probably like a lot of the team, like okay to good. He's kept 10 clean sheets, which can't be sniffed at in any Premier League side. And I think he's been okay this season. Has he been as good as the following two? Probably not. But has anyone in the team been as good as the following two? No. It's just the whole team. And that's not a criticism of Rui, but I think he still is number one. I think he's still be number one next season. And I think we've got a number one for as however long Rui and the whole relationship works. But I'm still confident in Rui. I think he's a great keeper. I think he's a different sort of keeper to John. I think John's more presence rather than shot stopping. I think Rui is very good at shot stopping. Made a few errors towards the back after the season, possibly, but who does? He has been very good for us since he's come. And I don't expect, if John does go, I don't expect to see another number one. I expect to see another strong number two come in to back Rui up. So that's my feeling on Rui. I think maybe at times John, maybe for the first time, probably thought he might have got a sniff this season, and I think that's just with the inconsistency of the whole team, and that's not really a push at Rui. I think that the whole team's been okay and not hit what they'd done last season. So with me saying that, I think that's where maybe John thought it might have had a sniff a few times, but I think Rui's done well. He's done well. Not been as good as the following two seasons, but as I said, I don't think any of the lads have been, and that's not a harsh criticism. I think it's a fact.
No, I agree. So look, I think that we haven't reached the standards what we were in those 2 years, but he's going to be number one for the immediate future, isn't he? So look, definitely, and while Nuno's still here, so look, he's going to be his number one unless something drastically happens. But yeah, so it's been indifferent. I think that he'll stay number one. He'll be number one for next year. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with Ruddy, to see whether or not he's going to be happy just to stay basically in the shadows of him, or does he want to go out there with his age as well to be a number one somewhere else? I say, like, it'd be interesting on his decision. He say he's a good keeper. I've always liked Ruddy. Did really well in that championship season. Unfortunate to lose his place, but that's what football's all about the changing, and so like, and people bringing it in and the opinions. But I think that Rui's going to be in there for a while yet. So look, and John Ruddy's got to decide what he wants to do, whether or not he wants to stay here or not. So I hope he does, because I think he's a good keeper. And as you know yourselves, you never know with the way that injuries go, that something could happen and he could end up being in goal all season. So look, say it's totally up to him, but we've been very strong in that department, I think, over the last 2 or 3 years, with those two being the goalkeepers.
Sam, do they already have the new number 2 in Matthias Sarkic that you had at Shrewsbury?
Yeah, I was just about to bring him up. I don't know, like Keanes, I don't know if you've seen much of Matty Sarkic. I took him from Villa in the summer. And obviously I took him in at Shrewsbury. I think he's very, very good. And I think long term, he'll be there ready to push for number 1. You don't know whether he's going to ultimately make it or not, but is it next season too soon to be number 2? Maybe that will depend on John, like you're saying. But I think long term, I think he's very, very good. Great temperament. I don't know what you've seen of him.
No, I was just listening to you to see what else you're going to say, just because I've heard really good things. I've not actually been able to watch him play, but obviously there's a lot of Wolves lads, ex-Wolves lads at Shrewsbury. So when I was speaking to Ethan and Leon, especially, they're like, this boy's good.
Yeah, he is
and very good. And you don't really hear that of Leon Clark about goalkeepers. So,
Clarky says you're good, you're very good, doesn't he?
Yeah, if Clarky says you're good, then he must be good. So I think that's possibly an option. Is it too soon? I don't know. If you're good enough, then it might be opportunity maybe to bring him in, get him in the cup games as well, and start to get him experience, because
I think if John goes, Matty will step up then as the number 2. I think he'll be more than ready. If John stays, then Matty might go out on loan again.
Yeah, maybe go out on loan for one more season, and then it might be time. You know, I know goalkeepers can play a little bit longer, but there's always a time where youth always catches up with everyone. And from hearing the reports of him, I've heard he's very good. So maybe there'll be a crossroads where the point where that decision needs to be made. But John's a brilliant person to have around the football club. He's ultimate professional. He's not going to cause you any problems. Wants to play still, but he's not going to cause you any problems. And I suppose it's what decision John wants to make. Does he want to go and play for the last couple of years of his career, or is he happy at Wolves as well? Because
you hear him. So we just sit above the players here, and you can hear him every game shouting out instructions and things to the players, and it shows you how much he still likes this club. And what he feels about the club. So I think it's great. But say it'd be a shame for him to go, but I think everybody will understand if he does go, because he'll want to be a number 1, because he's good enough to be a number 1.
Do you think it will almost be his decision? Because he's clearly well respected by Nuno. We've seen what he's like in and around the group. Do you think they might even turn around and say, it's up to you, John, you can have another year, or if you want to go, you go with our blessing?
I can imagine they've offered him something. I don't think they wouldn't. Unless they was lining to bring someone else in, which I don't. Not that I don't see the point of it, unless you bring in a young lad through. But you got.
Must be hard though, Keames, isn't it? Somebody who's played a lot of games.
It's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult. I'm just sort of thinking from a non-footballing point of view. Does John want to move down to the Championship, or and kind of go through? Can he and have just another year's contract and be in limbo where he's quite settled at Wolves, because he could go on to be a number 3 all of a sudden if you are bringing the young lad through, and he can help mentor him as well. So it's kind of what John wants to do. He's played a lot of games in his career, and he's good enough to play, and there might be an opportunity comes at Wolves next season where he does get a run of games. So it's a difficult decision, I think, and I think taking in consideration John's age as well, you get to a point where you accept that you're not necessarily that young. The body's not as young as well, and you can't necessarily do what you used to do as much. He could play. I'm sure he could play 40 games in a season. I'm sure he could, but you starting to wind down and coming towards the end of the career. Not that the hunger's gone, but it's just a fact. And you start getting year contracts and here and there. Does he want to move somewhere else for a year and then potentially move again after that year where he's quite settled at Wolves and he can go on to maybe play? He can even, never know, he could, like Thomas said, something can happen and he could end up playing a lot of the games next season as well.
This is the thing, isn't it? Because you never know, do you? I mean, we had the situation the other week where Patricia gets a head injury. We can talk about Sarkic and others. It's that question, isn't it, of who would you rather have if you need to play someone for a stretch of games? The experience has told so much for John.
I think he's nearly invaluable. I think you everything we're saying is right, but it's what he brings. Thomas in there every game is bellowing out, giving instructions. That is for a manager. You need those people behind the scenes. They might not always start every game for you. Codes is the same, but he starts every game. John would be the same around the training ground every day. It's just the little conversations you have with players, the little standards you set every day to the youngsters. And that's what you can't get. Right, yeah, you let John go, you bring Matty Sarkic up, say maybe, but you're losing that experience, the know-how, the knowledge, everything, which you can't replicate that. You can't go and get another lad to bring what he brings to the group. And it isn't a hugely old group. Him, Matinho, and Code's probably nearly the ones to do it. That's it.
Yeah, it's really important, and it's not really spoken about because obviously, rightly so, things get focused on what's on the pitch, but it's the harmony in the squad and the glue, and people like John, Codes, Matinho are the glue. Neves are the kind of glue around the squad that kind of molds everyone together and brings that sort of harmony, team spirit, and I think even though he's not played a lot of games, that's the value of John. And if anything happened to Rui, had a loss of form, you've got John ready in there. You wouldn't even blink. You'd be comfortable him going in as well. So I think the decision will ultimately come down to John, and I suppose whatever decision he makes, he will have everyone's blessing.
Okay, really interesting debate. Thank you very much, boys. We will go through the other positions in the coming weeks before the season is out. We're going to have a slight change of pace because if you are watching on TV or you see any pictures on social media, the players today are warming up in special T-shirts, which is all about the support for Fosun Farmers anti-malaria campaign in Africa. And we're going to be joined by Cyrus Badu from Fosun Farmer Africa, who will join us on Matchday Live Extra very shortly to just explain a little bit about it, really, and give us an insight into what is happening there. So if you do see the pictures that the players are wearing, it is all in support of the campaign that you are taking part in. Cyrus, thank you very much for joining us on Matchday Live Extra. Just give us an insight, if you can, into the work that Fosun and yourselves are doing against malaria.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Thank you for having me. So globally, over 200 million cases of malaria are recorded annually. We lose over 400,000 individuals to malaria infections, and malaria is preventable, it is treatable. Now, this is very sad. So what we are doing is that we want to create a lot of awareness of this. We want to galvanize everybody as much as possible, football fans, football stars, to unite everybody. Just like football fans globally were united against the English Super League, and that's putting it in the back burner. We think that if everyone adds their voice and joins in the efforts like Fosun Farmer is doing, then we'll be able to kick malaria out of the world because it's been eradicated in so many parts of the world, and especially in Africa, where 93% of the cases happen. So that's what we are doing, Nicky.
Because you mentioned that the players, the slogan, I think, is zero malaria starts with me. Yeah. How important do you think it is? Because, this is a global game. It is a worldwide game, and there will be many eyes on it for people to see the Wolves players wearing that slogan.
A lot of people, like you said, globally, our football stars yield a lot of influence in society. Players like Willy Bolly from Cote d'Ivoire, Adama Traoré, who hails from Mali and naturalizes for France, still have people who watch them, who will listen to them, who would want to listen to what they have to say on subjects. Now, if the Wolves players are seen to participate and are seen to want to play a role in kicking malaria out of Africa, or to have the zero malaria in Africa start with them, then you have young aspiring footballers, you have young families, you have people who watch the game, want to also take part in this. That is why it is important, and we really appreciate the efforts that our sister company Wolves and the technical team, the football team, is putting into getting this for us.
Yeah, it's all part of being part of the Fosun family, I guess, supporting each other. And the thing that really stands out to me that you said, Cyrus, is that, there are thousands of people dying from this, and yet it is preventable and treatable.
Yeah, very sad. With basic things, insecticide-treated bed nets, indoor residual spraying, basic things to control the parasites, will prevent malaria. But unfortunately, because there isn't enough support, there isn't enough, it could be political will, it could be lack of finances, etc. You still have children, pregnant women, vulnerable in society die. I mean, look at the effect that the COVID-19 has had globally. Africa lives with this every year, having all these preventable deaths happening.
And just for those who might want to get involved and find out a bit more, how would they do so? And just give us an idea of what more is to come in terms of this campaign.
Right. So you can make contact with your local NHS about how to feed into the global Zero Malaria Starts With Me project with Fosun Pharma or with the Rollback Malaria Initiative. Across Africa, through the various national malaria control programs in the respective countries, you'll be able to play a part, to lend a helping hand, whatever it is the source is for you. You'll be able to contribute to Zero Malaria Starts With Me. Yeah.
Cyrus, really welcome you coming on to Wolves TV and explaining this all to us, and we wish you the very best of luck with it. Go well and stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Mickey. Have a good game.
Thank you very much, my friend. Cyrus Purdue from Fosun Pharma. Brilliant campaign to be involved in. Just want to read you this quote from Connor Cody, who said, "We hope to raise the profile of this campaign by supporting it as a Premier League football club and help any organisations who are working hard to eliminate this deadly disease." There'll be more information online for you at wolves.co.uk, and you can, of course, check out the social media channels as well, just to get it going. But it is always nice, isn't it, gentlemen, when you see that, there is a bigger picture sometimes than just football, and it's nice to be able to highlight these different things, Sam. It's a big thing in football sometimes that we forget just the power and reach that we can have.
It is, and it's great when it gets used to good effect, like you're saying there, and maybe going through what we're going through in this country. We're probably a little bit oblivious to malaria in this country. It doesn't really affect us unless someone comes back from holiday. But he's living in a way where we're worried about COVID in this country, but malaria is so big over there. And if we can do something to help it, and the big thing, like you're saying there, is it's preventable. It's preventable through basic measures, which in nowadays it sometimes staggers you that more isn't getting done to prevent these things. If you can stamp something out like malaria, and we need to do everything we can to do that.
Thank you very much. Great stuff, boys. Say more details online, wolves.co.uk. We will turn our attention back to today's game. We'll have a special guest joining us very shortly who's played for both of these clubs. But before we just focus on that game, I just want to back up on a conversation we were having a little bit earlier about the focus on the game, Tomo, because I know you were itching to get in on this and we had to move on very briefly at the time. But one of the points that I guess I was trying to make was that from a player's perspective, there is a point that fans make where they accuse players of being on the beach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That your focus has gone towards the end. So how do you, as a player, maintain that focus when everyone around you is saying the season's done and dusted?
Well, I kind of still agree with what Cole's saying about that. There's still a lot to play for. Now, we're talking about this club and this team evolving and changing, and things are going to happen in the summer. I'm sure they are. But it's all about trying to stay with it. You want to stay with this project. You want to stay with the way things are going. You want to move along with this club. As we touched on there's players who are here who want to stay here. And by doing that, they've got to try and finish the season as good as possible. And that's either for personal reasons or for the team. And look, Nuno will want to finish as high as he can up the table. And these players should do as well. There's a lot to play at stake. We've got a lot of players now as well who play international football. They want to be around and play a big part in that, with either the Euros or whatever country they're playing for. But there's still a lot to play for a lot of players in this squad, not just the team, the squad. And they've got to go out there and prove a point. They've got to try and finish as high as possible, because one way or another, they'll want to be a part of either here, international, or anything else to what's going to go on in the summer. And that's going to be a big part of it, trying to stay fit, making sure they're putting decent performances and get the right results. And the only way they're going to do that is to make sure they're focused and want to get on with the game.
Well, I think the main thing is it comes from the manager or the coaching staff, not the manager, but the environment the players are in. If they're in an environment where the coaching staff are knocked off, they're not doing as much analysis, they're not doing as much debrief after games, then everyone just relaxes a little bit. But if these players are going to get, not criticised, that's a wrong word, but they're still going to get the basics, what Nuno wants, drummed into them now before the game, at half time, at the end of the game. It doesn't allow you to get on your toes, because if the manager has a pop at you because you haven't done what the standard is expected of whatever the scenario is, that keeps everyone on your toes. And that's, for me, what does it.
Yeah, well, he's in front of us, Sam, and I tell you what, he's not a person who doesn't care, because you watch him, he's ranting, he's raging on the touchline, he's still shaking his head and he's throwing things, and you can see the passion that he's got. And that goes on to the players as well. He still wants to win games. Don't matter what position they're in the league. Doesn't matter what they're doing. Because they've set such high standards in the last 2 years or so of what they've done and where they've finished 7th in the league. He wants better. He wants this team to finish as high as possible. For one reason or another, he's had injuries, and unfortunately, it's hit them a little bit harder than they thought.
Well, let's bring in another voice on this, because waiting to talk to us is the former Wolves and Burnley midfielder, a man known to all of us, joining us again on Matchday Live Extra, David Jones. Dave Jones, Jonah, probably Jonah to...
I thought you were going to say that. I actually thought you were going to say that, a man known to all of us as Jonah.
No. A wonderful figure in midfield for both of these clubs. Good to see you again, my friend. We're just kind of talking about Wolves having to keep their focus now that survival is secured and looking to finish as high as possible. For Burnley today, Dave, it's, you know, they're still kind of in it, aren't they? A win today probably sees them safe, but they can't be sure anything at this stage.
No, they can't. They found themselves just above the drop zone, but watching them play last week against Manchester United, they had a good performance, and I think they're still confident they can get the results they need to stay in the division.
Just wait to jump in there. Go on, Kings.
Sorry, Burnley, what's their season look like, really? I know they're always kind of hovering to stay up. I know they've had seasons where they've excelled as well, but what's their season look like from a Burnley perspective?
I think Burnley, being a small town, their priority is always to just stay in the division. They obviously want to keep moving and building on their previous seasons, but they've got to be realistic in terms of the investment in the team. They overachieve, in my opinion, and they always do enough whenever they need a result. This is why it's a dangerous game for Wolves today, because Burnley, when their backs are against the wall and they need a result, they usually dig deep. And as we've seen in recent years, Wolves are often frustrated by this Burnley team.
They had a slow start to the season, didn't they? Real slow, but no one panics at Burnley. As in, there was no one calling for Sean Dyche's head, and everyone just carries on about their work. And obviously, they've pulled themselves clear, dropped in a little bit recently, but it's a big thing, isn't it? That stability.
It is, and Sean Dyche, I've never seen him get flustered. It's always the same consistent messages, throughout the season. They keep doing what they do. They have a real belief in how they operate and what they do. And it's kind of stood the test of time that when, in the Premier League, they've had a good run of staying up, and their method seems to work. You know, sometimes they get criticism for maybe their style of play, but it's effective because it's a challenge that you just don't see anymore every week in the Premier League. So, you know, you don't encounter it. So teams know what Burnley are going to do, but it's a different matter trying to stop it because you just don't face that physicality and that organisation as much. You know, you'll see today that, you know, Wolves like usually to absorb the pressure and hit them, you know, on the counter-attack or with a bit of pace. And Burnley, they won't attack really expansively. So there's never really those holes from which to exploit, which is why I think in recent years, Wolves have found it difficult in this fixture.
Yeah. So what do you think that Burnley need to do then to improve or to go up to that next level, do you think?
I think they do try and do that every year in terms of personnel, bringing in, you know, better players. I think, you know, as a manager, Sean Dyche is always looking to build on the previous season. So I just think add a few more players in strength and depth. They have got a strong, I think they've got a, you know, for them, they've got a strong bench today and options to bring on. But throughout the season, we've seen they've had a lot of youngsters on the bench. So I think the strength and depth and a variety of options could be the best way for them to build on what is already a successful model.
Jonah, just to sort of touch on that as well, do you think we always get obsessed with the next phase, but do you think Burnley are what they are and they'll continue to be what they are until ultimately it goes wrong in a sense? And not that I want it to go wrong, but do you think it'll always kind of be a Sean Dyche sort of working man's team and that's not to disrespect the players in a sense, but they can put that performance in, like you said. Do you think that's what it'll always kind of be and they'll be happy with that?
Well, it's a great point, Carl, and it's not easy, is it, to make that step up in the Premier League? You know, you can try it, you can invest money, but sometimes things fall apart. And to stay, you know, in the Premier League, there's you know, below the top teams, you know, it's kind of not a mini league between themselves, but I mean, it's very difficult to be able to take it up to that next level, and money doesn't necessarily do that. And you know, you have to get the recruitment right. Burnley don't do drastic things and drastic changes. And like I said, for their, you know, their fans, they are a very realistic bunch of fans. You know, I played there, and as long as they see everybody working their socks off, they go home happy. They clap the team off, you know, win, lose or draw, if they see that effort. And they are realistic in terms of that survival for them in the Premier League is an overachievement. So they haven't got that pressure from the outside in which to make that step in terms of recruitment. Of course, they want to see their team improve and get better players, and you know, but they are, you know, I don't want to say content, but they are really realistic and really positive about what their team, their current team, what the club have done in recent years to be able to survive in the Premier League. It's
not having a go at Sean Dyche at all. It's also almost a compliment to sort of how you can stay the same, but also obviously he's trying to improve in a sense, because it must be difficult to try and improve in a sense, but also know what you are.
There's an element, isn't there, about the almost the similarities to what Jonah would have experienced with Wolves under Mick McCarthy. That level of, you know, everyone kind of said you need to move on, you need to step forwards, and maybe the mistakes that Wolves made, Sean Dyche is not going to make them at the minute because he's going to stick to what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think that's very relevant. Good, you know, comparison between where the two clubs were, where Wolves were at the time, for example. So, yeah, you know, me and Carl played in that team, and you know, we didn't have the investment that probably Wolves have had in recent years, and survival for us was a great achievement. So yeah, it's a case of, it's a difficult balance, because you do want to progress your football club and you want to see good football, attacking football, and be fighting and winning games towards the, you know, top end of the league. But as well, there's got to be some realism in terms of how difficult it is in the Premier League to be able to survive. Everybody's trying to build on the last season as well. So you have to, you know, Sean Dyche, he does keep moving. Because he wouldn't survive in the Premier League with his team. So he is improving in quality, adding one or two extra players that, you know, from the time that I was there, that it is building. You do see that, because every other club moves forward at the same time and everybody's trying to do the same thing. So, yeah, it's a great point that I think a big thing is that for the pressure from the outside, from the fans. Like I said, I played at both clubs. Wolves, I would say, have greater aspirations to be able to move up the Premier League and to be more of a force in fighting at the top end of the league. So yeah, it's a difficult one to balance, and
Right, players are about to come out, so let's get a quick score prediction from each of you. Joni, you get to go first. What are you reckoning today?
1-1.
Oh, okay. Come on, playing it safe. Fence sitting, that's fine. Tomo?
2-1 Wolves.
2-1. Sam?
You've just taken my 2-1 Wolves, so I'll go 1-0 Wolves.
Keanes?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0 Wolves today.
You've gone 2-0, which means I'm going to have to go for 3-0 here.
You really don't want to do it.
That you've all
pushing you out, mate. We're pushing you out.
Just because I got it right last week and won money as well on our charity bet, there's no need to try and copy me. We will see how it unfolds. David Jones, thank you very much indeed, my friend. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jonah.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Stay
Cheers.
safe and stay well. More from Sam and Carl to come. More from Tomo in just a second. We'll bring you the first half of Wolves Burnley here on Matchday Live Extra.
Matchday Live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
We can't welcome you to the Wolves megastore at the moment, but our online store is available 24/7. Visit shop.wolves.co.uk for huge savings on replica kits, training wear and exclusive Wolves clothing ranges.
The Old Goal Club has a new series, My Golden Game.
Yes, mate, you good?
Speaking to former and
nah, it's just doing the commentary,
managers and
well, just before the game.
Meant the most to
It's a club. Wow.
Nah, not in the game. Just before half time and after.
I've been back to Molyneux on a few occasions, and I never got.
Oh, just finished the first.
Good reception.
What are you saying, mate? You good?
It hurt me a little bit. Not that I thought I deserved better, but maybe because of those two games against West Brom, where I scored 4 goals in 2 appearances.
Yeah.
Check out the series so far, featuring the likes of Jodian Lescott, Kevin Doyle, Neil Emblem.
Oh, sweet. You found somewhere then, yeah.
I was absolutely delighted when they came in for me, and even more so when after having a tough first 4 or 5 months that we were on a bit of a roll and ended up playing this fantastic game. Old Goal Club, My Golden Game.
You want, mate, do you know what I mean?
Available now.
Just could have been like modern like 20 years ago, but it's not.
Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, 2 wins in a row, 2 clean sheets.
Did you watch the UFC?
Wolves have found a way to win. Standing in the way of 3 is a Burnley side without a win in their last 3 outings and worryingly close to the relegation zone. Though the Clarets edged the reverse fixture back in December 2-1 and have lost only 1 of the last 9 meetings between these two. The stats suggest there won't be much in it. Only Man City and Chelsea have conceded fewer at home than Nuno's side. Only Sheffield United have scored fewer away than Sean Dyche's at this stage of the season.
I don't know how much I can send.
Predictable.
No
João Moutinho for Wolves today, but Ruben Neves is back from his COVID isolation period.
I can do it over
in midfield. Patricio continues in goal. Romain Saiz, Conor Cody, Willy Polly, the back 3. Nelson Semedo and Ryan Aït-Nouri on the wing-back positions. And Adama Traore and Daniel Perez supporting Willian Jose, fresh from his first Wolves goal last time out.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
For Burnley, they have Nick Pope back in goal, Matt Lowton, James Tarkowski, Ben Mee and Charlie Taylor, Ashley Westwood and Jack Cork and Josh Brownhill in midfield. Dwight McNeil to play from the left, Mate Vidra and Chris Wood up top.
Yeah.
And Burnley are set to get us underway.
Yeah.
We'll take a knee, continue to send the message that there is no room for racism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man.
And Westwood stood over the ball. Wolves in gold shirts, black shorts and gold socks. Against Burnley in their claret and blue with white shorts and claret socks. And Wolves in the first half defending the Sir Jack Hayward stand, the South Bank away to
stages, isn't it?
our right-hand side, attacking the North Bank, the Stan Cullis stand away to our left. As the sun shines ever brighter, we are closing in towards summer at least, Andy Thompson, and your tan is looking resplendent.
Say, it's been nice to be actually outside when working, so like a bit of sun. I say it's still that bit cold here though with that wind, but I say it's getting better. It's getting better. We all love a bit of sun.
There's Semedo back in the shade by the corner flag. His clearance was charged down, but the ball has bounced out of play and will be given as a Wolves goal kick. Taken short by Patricio to Cody. Nelson Semedo infield to Romain Saiz. Back to Semedo again. He leaves it for Dendoncker. Back to Saiz. I think Carl Ikeme has now switched off his microphone, so you can hear us rather than him. Do you want to hear what's going on in that household during this game? As ever, you can get in touch. Use the hashtag Wolves Live. As Lowton drives forwards down the Burnley right, but passes straight to Bolly, who looks to find Willian Jose early over halfway, and he's got Podence in field as he runs down the left-hand side, and Ait Nouri as well, but he's got to the edge of the penalty here, Willian Jose, and he tried to cut in field and strike himself. The ball's going to drop to Neves. Neves thought about a shot, instead plays it to Traore. Traore's strike is blocked by Taylor and will rebound for a Wolves throw by the right-hand corner flag.
Yeah, that was a shame. Neves, like if he'd just been a bit quicker thinking his first touch, because he had a little bit of a pause before he even thought about it, and he'd been closed down by the Burnley players. But again, so like opportunities there. Good run from William down this left-hand side. I thought he could just played Podence in a little bit earlier as well.
It would have been nice to see Ruben Neves have a strike on goal. Scored since Newcastle away. And he'll want to get back amongst the goals. He's got a real chance of being Wolves' top goal scorer this season, you know. Level with Pedro Neto, who, of course, won't be playing again for the rest of the campaign. So it'll be a rarity for Neves to pick up that award. At the end of season 2.
Well, the goal scorer, say probably won't have the opportunity again, you wouldn't think. But it's nice when he scores some good goals. So like I kind of missed that championship season when he scored all those free kicks and those long range efforts. I'd love to have him back again anyway.
Yeah, on a more regular basis. We've seen it a few opportunities, haven't we, over the last couple of years, but nothing of the pure majesty that he produced on a regular occasion.
Well, there's people still at my work still talk about the Derby goal here when he scored against them. It was a great strike.
Willian Jose with a lovely ball to switch the play out to Semedo. Midway inside the Burnley half. Traore to take it on. Wide for Semedo again, who looks to cross it deep and from early, but it took a deflection, and it will be the first Wolves corner of the game.
Well, it's a good little bit of pressure from them. So, look, again, without putting anything at risk, just putting a little bit of pressure on Burnley.
Ollie and Saiz making their way forwards. Cody has stayed back this time. Neves, Willian Jose and Dendoncker are all in that penalty area. Traore has gone short. It's Semedo to take it, right footed from the right hand side, and he's curled it out of play and behind for a goal kick.
I think that's always the problem with the right footer with the out swinging cross. You try and put a bit of whip on it, and that's the problem what you have.
It is pretty breezy as well today, isn't it?
It is.
The flags on top of the Steve Ball stand on the far side, fluttering in all sorts of directions, actually. It's hard to tell exactly which way it's going.
Yeah, it's a bit stronger than you think, isn't it, that wind? It'll probably compensate a little bit for that as well.
There's a couple of the flags, the Fosun one in particular in the middle, that looks like it's very much behind Wolves. And then you look at the USA flag representing Owen Otasowie further towards the south bank, and that's a completely different direction. Dents tries to challenge in the air on halfway. Williams shows they're using his strength to win possession, but he rather turned into McNeil. Taylor down the line, trying to feed it in behind for Chris Wood. It's beaten to it by Saiz, who made it to Patricio, who was hurried up in his clearance by Vidra. Now to play for a Burnley throw.
Burnley are just one of those sides, but they play really well to the strengths, don't they? So they've got a big centre forward in Wood up there, so they defend pretty well.
There is Neves to switch the play for Ait-Nouri, midway inside his own half, turning infield away from Brownhill, and he's been allowed to dribble a long way over the halfway line. It's a great run, and he now finds Traore, and he feeds it on to Podence. Right inside of the penalty area, Podence to strike it, but straightens the arms of the waiting Nick Pope.
Yeah, but that's come from Ait-Nouri down this left-hand side, driving forward. Great run. I just thought that Traore, so look, he's got the ball just on the outside of the 18 box.
Cody dealing with one at the other end, calmly ahead of Vidra, and clears to the halfway line. Nodded forwards towards Brownhill. Feeds it back in field. Cork to take it on to the right-hand side, and blocked by Dendoncker as he attempted to cross early. Throw in taken by Lowton. Pass in field, intercepted by Bolly, who tried to clear it forwards. Cork got there ahead of Williams Jose, and huge frame of Tarkowski switches it across the centre circle for Taylor.
Just got to try and keep possession of the ball there. Just give it away a little bit cheaply.
On ball down the left-hand side for Burnley, though. Numbers arriving in the penalty area. This is McNeil, 30 yards from goal, to Taylor on the left-hand side. One touch and delivers a cross that Bolly can head away, only into McNeil, but Semedo got a foot in. And Neves trying to clear to Traore, who just couldn't quite get control of it. It's an awkward height for him.
It was awkward height, but there's 2 or 3 times now, isn't it, that we give away possession of the ball after working really hard to win it back. Just got to have that little bit of care, because what it does, it just gives Burnley a little bit of a chance to actually push on.
Neves to Cody, midway inside the Wolves half, low out to the feet of Semedo. A lot of space in front of the Portuguese to drive on. Podence is there in support, but his flick towards Traore was intercepted by Cork. And McNeil can try and carry it forwards into the space vacated by Semedo, but he miscontrols, and it'll be a Wolves throw. One thing we didn't mention, Tomo, was that run by Ryan Ait-Nouri a moment or so ago.
Yeah, it was a great run, wasn't it? So like driving through, all of a sudden, they just opened up for him, didn't it? In that middle of midfield. He's able just to drive on. But just getting to that, I just thought that Podence and Traore could have done a little bit better on the edge of the 18-yard box to create something, and now Podence had the shot.
Lowton over halfway, his turn to try and drive forwards, and he's got past Neves as well, but then passed it straight to Semedo. Played it backwards to Patricio, who clears downfield in the direction of Traore, who climbed highest, and a very clever header back to Podence. Traore on halfway, trying to flick it through, but Podence hadn't quite read the same movement. Burnley in possession again through Brownhill. By the way, you can tell how cold it is in the stand where we are, because the Wolves subs are below us. And I just saw Sam, the kit man, come out with all the big, thick winter sub coats. They're probably being put away, thinking they wouldn't be needed again.
Yeah, it is cold in the shade, isn't it? So, like, especially when that wind blows as well.
Most of the pitch bathed in sunshine, apart from Rui Patricio's goal, that Cody playing the ball back to him, got there just ahead of Chris Wood. He's looked almost back to his imperious best, Connor Cody, in the last couple of weeks.
It just shows you that like, results give players confidence, isn't it? So, like, in 2 results, clean sheets.
Well, I think it's a situation as well where I think there are few, if any, better than him in that particular role in a back five.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, well, he's got his England call up, hasn't he, from playing in that position? It just shows you how well he's done and how well he's played in that position.
Taylor crossing from deep. Vidra just got ahead of Bolly, but his header actually went away from goal. And Semedo back to Saiz on his weaker right foot. Clears it out of play. Interesting to see that they're continuing with Saiz and Bolly, inverted central defenders, if you like. Left footer on the right and the right footer on the left.
Yeah, well, as I said last time, I think Bolly does definitely favour that side, doesn't he? It's kind of Cody. I don't know what reason it is, but Locke's been on that left-hand side.
There's Lowton trying to whip a crossing from deep. Cody with the clearance to Dendoncker, to Bolly on the edge of the box, to his left-hand side to Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri trying to find Traoré, clever chest down to Podence, and Podence just waited for Cork to rather come past him, whereas if he just stepped to it, Tomo.
Yeah, like I said in that last game that we had, he just needs to be sharpening up a little bit. So look, we've seen it a couple of times where give away possession.
Taylor crossing from deep. Vidra on the edge of the penalty area, teeing it up for the strike by Westwood, but it's a long way wide of the right-hand post of Patricio.
Yeah, just getting back to Podence. He just needs to sharpen up a little bit. I know he's had a little bit of a spell out, but it's just sharpening up because he does get closed down quite a bit, and by opposing teams seem to be able to take the ball off him. But I just think that he's just sharpening up a little bit, because he's no doubt about it. He's a quality player, but just for me, he just needs to just up his game a little bit.
Wolves haven't done the best with clearing the goal kick here. Wood striking, blocked by Neves, and the ball rebounds to Podence, who now will drive over halfway. Traoré to his right, Willian Jose to his left. He gets towards the edge of the penalty area, Podence, and he tries to curl it into the bottom corner, and it took a deflection and goes behind for another corner kick. He ran an awful long way there, Daniel Podence.
Yeah, well, right on cue when we're saying about him getting a little bit sharper. I'll tell you what, it's some good play here. Just moves the ball to the right-hand side, just tries to curl it to the left of Pope. Yeah, just took that deflection. I think it was Ben Mee, wasn't it? Just took it a little bit wider than he wanted, but a good run from him.
Semedo.
He gets in some great positions, Podence.
Semedo still on the corner kicks, right-footed from the right-hand side. Thought about playing it short to Traoré, but Westwood was out there to close it down. So he will lift it towards the far post. It comes through to Neves, who tries to tee it up to Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri lifting it high to the far post, too high. Saiz will keep it in, though. He gets it back to Semedo, who sets himself and now tries to lift his cross in, and again it was too high over the top of Bolly. Neves first the loose ball on left-hand side. Back to Aït-Nouri, who comes all the way to Cody on halfway. He'll move it out to Semedo on the right-hand touchline. Midway inside the Burnley half here, Wolves. Saiz back to Dendoncker, and Wolves will try and build through Neves on halfway again.
Yeah, well, that's better from them. So, like, even though the cross was a little bit long, but just recycling that ball. Oh,
Neves, oh, well, goodness me. It's a misplaced through ball that one Burnley player swiped at and sliced, and then another on the edge of the penalty area. Almost fell over, stumbled, and put it back across goal. And Bolly with an awkward header back, and Vidra in behind, and Bolly recovering. Burnley are appealing, where the ball was bounced through to Rui Patricio, and Willy Bolly making amends there from his initial error that nearly let Vidra in behind. He was waiting to try and strike it, and Bolly just got something back on the ball.
Well, their coaching staff are actually screaming at the fourth official, but you always know by the player who's on the pitch whether or not it was a foul, and Vidra never did anything, never contested it. Oh, yeah, what a great tackle. Just watching the replay. Got the ball. Yeah.
Arguably the best and worst of Willy Bolly inside 5 seconds there.
Got himself out of trouble, didn't he?
He did. He might be in trouble again, though, as the ball comes through to Wood in the penalty area. Wood onto his right foot, trying to strike it low, and finds the bottom corner. The ball went over the top of Willy Bolly, and Chris Wood got the better of Connor Cody, and from a narrow angle, squeezes it into the far post. And it's Wolves 0, Burnley 1 with less than quarter of an hour played.
Yeah, just a couple of mistakes there, wasn't it? Just allowing him. I don't know if Bolly just ducked a little bit there when the header was coming. I don't know if he heard thought he heard a shout. Just watching the replay.
Just didn't seem to drop, did he, really?
Oh.
And Wood.
Well, you don't want to let a person like Wood in front of goal shooting.
Well, it's his third game in a row against Wolves that he's been on the score sheet, Chris Wood. It's a well-taken finish into the bottom corner. And as so often has been the case, the first goal can prove oh so important.
Yeah. Well, we talk about clean sheets from them, but they're not going to get that today. They've got to come from behind again.
For the 21st time in 33 games this season, Wolves find themselves behind. Haven't lost when they've gone in front and scored first. Have to come back again. And here's Traore trying to run at Taylor. And he'll still get into the penalty area here, Traore, and he tried to pull it back, but Burnley had the numbers in the box, as they will do so. Very organised defensively, and they will look to protect what they have even more now.
Yeah, well, they're fighting for the lives down near that relegation zone, aren't they? So they need results.
Volley back to Cody. Now for Ruben Neves, to the left of the centre circle. Whipped out to Ait-Nouri on the left-hand side, midway inside the Burnley half. Neves had come short, but it goes back to Bolly. Now Ait-Nouri again, down the line for Podence. And Podence dives on the ball and gets himself a free kick from the challenge from Matt Lowton.
Yeah, just looking at their coaching staff, Sean Dyche, moaning to the fourth official, thinking that it's gone the referee a little bit there with the dive. But we know that any contact comes, that's what happens. But a good opportunity, sending the boys up from the back for this free kick.
Yeah, Saiss and Bolly joining Dendoncker, Willian Jose. Burnley trying to hold their defensive line on the edge of the penalty area. It's only a step in from the left-hand touchline, just ahead of midway inside the Burnley half. Ait-Nouri will whip it in left-footed. The Wolves have the numbers in and around it. Can they get someone on the end of this delivery? Ait-Nouri's swinging one towards the near post. Willian Jose tried to flick it on, but it bounced off a Burnley player into the arms of Nick Pope.
Yeah, it just didn't fall. Wasn't a great free kick from him, but Selok Willian just tried to just flick it on. Didn't really contact with it. I think it ricocheted off one of the Burnley defenders and just went into Pope's hands. But they've just got to be a little bit more decisive now. So take the game to Burnley a little bit more.
It hadn't been a bad start, really, had it?
They've done all right. So if anything, you'd say that Wolves have probably had the better of that first opening minutes. But again, you can't allow somebody like Chris Wood an opportunity to go goal.
Patricio with the ball in hand, rolls it short to his right side to Saiss. Up towards Adama Traore, turning in field, a 1-2 with Willian Jose.
Yeah, just a little thing like that. He could have told Willian to turn there. I know he's played the ball back to them, but opportunities to be running at the Burnley defence.
Dendoncker to Cody, to Neves. That's the left-hand side to Ait-Nouri. Podence has made the run down the line, and Ait-Nouri trying to get on the underlap, and it will go out of play and be given as a Burnley throw.
I'll tell you what, it's true. If you shout the loudest, you get the ball by the look of that. I thought that was a throw into Wolves there.
Lowton to take it. 18.5 minutes played. You could hear the wind battering our microphones. I tell you, it is cold here, up here in the top of the really right stand. Ollie jumping over the top of Wood. Dendoncker finding Saiss. Neves has dropped short. And just to see how his fitness goes as the game goes on. Just a fair chunk of the last couple of weeks through isolation. Sure, he was looking after himself in the meantime.
He would have been given a programme of some kind to actually go and work on. Make sure he keeps his fitness up.
Traore wide to the left-hand side to Ait-Nouri. Going back in field on his right foot. Cross took a deflection, and Burnley just seemed to be a little bit sharper, though. Dendoncker winning it back from Cork. Saiss to Podence. Oh, and an awful pass by Podence. Straight to McNeil. Tarkovsky will clear. Bolly had to get something on that head with clearance because Vidra was in behind him, if not.
I think Connor Card is asking the question, is he offside?
Wolves 0, Burnley 1. They've played just shy of 20 minutes. Bolly with a headed clearance out of play. Gloves are coming on. That cold.
Tell you what, if he keeps getting cold, the blanket will be out in a minute, mate.
Well, clearing header by Saiz. Cork finding McNeil. Now to Taylor on the left-hand side for Burnley. McNeil will cross it first time. It's Bolly's header that's just gone high in the air towards the penalty spot. He got to the loose ball and headed clear as far as Traore. Or Semedo has lost out to McNeil. And it's going to be a tap-in for Chris Wood. And Burnley have got themselves a second goal. And Wolves caused the issues for themselves there. Didn't clear the ball. Traore tried to lay it to Semedo, who was beaten to it. And it was the easiest of finishes for Wood to get his second of the game.
Yeah, basic mistake again. Messing around on the edge of our, well, inside the 18-yard box. So you can't do it. So you know very well. So if any opportunity that Burnley get, they're going to capitalise on it, and that's what happens.
Just after that opening quarter of an hour, it summed up really by Ollie almost costing a goal to Vidra, and then Burnley got there first just after it, where Wolves had just gone really sloppy in certain areas.
Well, the thing is, though, you're getting punished. You're seeing it this afternoon. A goal scorer, if you give him the opportunity, he'll take it, and that's what he's done. He's in the right place at the right time. But you can't be messing around there. Just put your foot through it. Just play it out of the risk areas.
Let the ball roll under his foot there in front of his goal, and thankfully it was going wider, and he half cleared. There's Dendonka. Now for William Jose on halfway, trying to release Semedo down the right-hand side. Can he make amends for it by creating a goal as he pulls it back to William Jose? Tried to help it on towards Traore. The point about the goal as well, Tomo, and we made it about Pedence on halfway a moment ago as Bolly nearly loses it to Wood here, and Cody waiting for Patricio to come out and get it. Just that element of Semedo kind of backed away. They don't seem to go towards the ball and make it theirs.
Well, he's caught on his heels, isn't he? So look, got to be on the front foot. And you're watching it in that top third as well. So look, we just seem just to be half a yard behind Burnley. Burnley seem to be stepping forward and winning everything in both areas. And again, we've just given away a simple pass. There's no real pressure on us. You would have thought on the back of the results that we've had, the confidence would be high. But we're still the same in that top third. It's just not clinical enough for me.
Wolves 0, Burnley 2. Halfway stage of the first half. Wolves were okay for 14 minutes, arguably the more threatening side, but Burnley have perhaps shown a little bit more desire and intensity, and they're looking for a third again, and it just evades Vidra as it goes across the face of goal. Burnley feeling like there was a deflection. The referee disagrees, Darren England, and it'll be a Wolves goal kick.
Well, I think we need to be careful now, because I tell you what, Burnley have got the bit between the teeth. And as you've seen there, selected too much time for me from McNeil there. Because he's one of their players that supplies a lot of ammunition for the goal scorers.
Long kick forwards that Traore couldn't quite win the ball. Vidra jumps over the top of Neves, and Brownhill on towards Wood into the penalty area. This time Cody got across to him, but it will be a Burnley corner. And they are certainly not settling for their 2-0 lead at the moment.
No, I think that they think there's more there for them. That's why. And at the minute, you kind of agree with them. Just going to have to try and get themselves back into this game somehow.
Westwood will go over to take it. Right-footed from the left-hand side in front of the South Bank. Which, if there were fans inside Molineux, would be rather restless at this stage. Whipped into the near post. It came off Semedo. It'll be another corner. We'll just need to get to grips with things a little bit here. Referee has spotted something he didn't like inside the 6-yard box. He's calling Cork and Traore towards him. It's a little bit of a warning, perhaps, for physical altercations. Westwood to take it, whipping in from that left-hand side, and it's Tarkowski's header, and it's wide of the far post. It goes down as another big opportunity, and maybe could have been 3.
Yeah. Well, he's just got the better of his size. I think he was marking him. If anything, he's just probably leaning back a little bit too much. Tarkowski couldn't really get any power or direction on it, but Wolves have got to pick themselves up. I know there's still quite a bit of time left to the game, but the way things are going, say Burnley seem to be the one that are taking the game to Wolves a lot more.
So it's just clearance. Lowton on halfway, trying to feed it infield. Neves slid in ahead of Brownhill, but it will be a Burnley throw. Just seems there's more urgency about Burnley. Every time a player gets on the ball, they're direct, they're running straight at people.
Well, we said before the game, so look, have they got anything to play for or to motivate themselves? I think that there's still a lot of players in this team who say, look, who Nuno thinks that may got a question mark over whether or not they're going to start for next year or the latter games. I know we said about bringing some of the young boys in, but he still wants to make up his mind about what he wants to play, who wants to play.
Well, Vidra has won a free kick from the slightest of touches by Daniel Podence, who you might remember when Wolves lost at Burnley just before Christmas, took to social media to, shall we say, query one or two things. Talking off social media, by the way, the Wolves joining many in the football fraternity in making a stand next weekend and not posting across social media. We will still be here for the derby against Albion on Monday night. The rest of the club's social media channels will not. There's Lowton on halfway, all lifted in behind, and Wood trying to get Cody isolated, who nodded it down, and Ollie was a touch slow in reacting, and he turns around and there's a few words with Cody as well.
Well, I've seen 2 or 3 times when we've been in that central position, we've got possession, and for whatever reason, so Burnley win it back. So got to be a little bit better in there. If you're going to build any momentum in the game, we'll do a lot better with it.
Lowton's touch came off Podence, will be another Burnley throw. Deep inside the Wolves half, 28 minutes played. Wolves nail Burnley 2 on this Sunday lunchtime. Lowton's throw in field, gets it back from Brownhill. Neves to intercept and turning and clearing. Willian Jose's header, finding Traore. Traore, though, stolen away by Vidra, and Brownhill trying to play it infield towards McNeil. He'll roll on towards Taylor. Towards the edge of the box to Wood, onto Taylor again, whipping a dangerous one in, and Vidra stretched. And he got on the end of the ball, but he couldn't keep it down. And Burnley should have definitely had a third by now.
Yeah, well, they're the big threat at the minute. Another ball in from Taylor on that left-hand side, whipped in. And I think he should score here, Vidra. Because I'll tell you what, it's a great ball in. Might have just been overstretching a little bit. It was a great ball in.
But again, Tomo, you can't have a man unmarked on the edge of your 6-yard box there.
No, you can't. But also as well, the man crossing it's free. So again, so look, you're just watching some of it. So look, all you can see is another Burnley goal at the moment, because we're not offering anything going forward. We're giving away possession very cheaply, and we're vulnerable at the back.
Burnley, a clear tactic really, where they're clearly trying to get both Wood and Vidra around Cody. So every time the ball comes forwards, he's got two players to deal with, and Wolves just haven't quite worked out a way of stopping that for the time being.
I said before, so look, they always do it. They always seem to unsettle our back line. The lads up front, even if it's Chris Wood, Ashley Barnes as well, is another one that does it really well. And
Then
just
Donker looking wide for Norrie. Sorry, Tom.
It's okay. They've just got to go out there and deal with it. So look, at the end of the day, if there's people to mark, those centre-halves have got to pick them up. But what is more of a problem is that we can't retain possession of the ball, keep giving it away, and we're not putting any threat on the back line of Burnley.
Tarkovsky's clearance sliced out of play for a Wolves throw in front of Nuno's technical area as he comes back to have a word with his coaching staff in his dugout at the moment. A couple of subs already going out to warm up. Norrie cleared away by me. Ollie turning and rather aimlessly just launching it downfield, really. Wasn't in general direction of anybody. Saying it's so strange that it's with a better team for 14 minutes.
I think it looks like we're just hanging on at the minute. Because I tell you what, so since we've got our goals, Burnley, so there's a different side.
Norrie tackled by Brownhill, gets a throw just short of halfway. So you think of his bursting run where he went through. Podence was driving onto the edge of the box and had an effort just deflected slightly wide. Wolves were looking good for the first period of the game, and then that Bolly mistake just seems to have done something to their mindset where they've really struggled, almost all of them.
Well, what you've done, you've seen Burnley step up, and we seem to have gone under a little bit. Just got to try and get ourselves up. The only people who can do it is the lads out there. What is it? Just under 15 minutes to half time, and I'm sure Nuno will have a few words to say at half time. But they've got to try and do something to hurt Burnley, and at the minute they're not.
Norrie trying to lift it in behind for the run of Podence, and Pope came out of his penalty area. The offside flag had gone up against Daniel Podence anyway. He's rather angry with Ryan Norrie, I think, for not playing it early enough for him. Don't necessarily mind that, Tomo. Players show a little bit of passion.
No.
You almost need a little bit more of it.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. And it goes on it should go on a lot more. So where if players aren't doing the job, they get told by the other player. Need to pick it up a bit, need to take a bit more care, whatever it is.
Saïs's header picked up on in midfield by Westwood to Cork. Semedo got there first, but his clearance will go out of play. It came off a Burnley player, and Semedo throwing in quickly to Traore.
Well, we ain't got Traore in the game at all, have we? Don't think he's really had a good run.
Semedo with an awkward ball that was behind him. And Burnley allowed to carry it forwards again, although this time Dendoncker wins it back, but McNeil on the floor just diverted the ball.
Yeah, just giggling up there. So look, I've got Bully just in me off my left shoulder, who just a big oh dear.
Taylor under pressure from Traore, concedes a throw deep inside his own half on the Burnley right. 33.5 minutes played. Semedo throwing backwards to Saïs.
We're going to have to try and get...
Oh, Saïs just passed it straight to Cork. It's up towards Wood. And here comes Vidra, and he's in behind Neves, and it's Vidra, left-hand side of the penalty area, and away from Bolly, and Patricio came out and just diverted the ball away with his right leg.
Too easy. Just getting through quite easily at the minute. Just not having the rubber. It's a lot of things going on there. It just seems to be falling in Burnley's path all the time.
O'Neill onto Taylor, stands his cross up. Vidra and Wood jumped into each other and actually did Wolves' defensive job for them.
I was going to say, did us a favour there, didn't they?
Well, there wasn't a Wolves player jumping with either of them, so they put each other off, really. We are, what, just over 10 minutes away from half-time. And I rather feel like it's going to be interesting watching Andy Thompson, Carl Ikeme and Sam Ricketts. Imagine are not going to hold back in their views of what we are seeing at the moment. It was trailing by 2-0. It could and probably should have been more.
Yeah. I think we've been fortunate. There's only been 2. So the Vidra, I thought, was a good chance.
Loughton's ball in behind. Cody just there ahead of Vidra. Ollie always lost it to Brownhill, and Wood trying to curl one goalwards, but straight to the waiting Rui Patricio.
They've got to realise they're not going to get as much time as they want. So look, we're taking that extra touch. We're taking a little bit more time than we should do. Burnley aren't going to allow them to do that. They're going to be onto them.
Patricio clearing forwards. William Jose being to it by Tarkovsky. In behind again, and Bolly pretty slow to turn, and it allowed Vidra to get there first. And now Westwood trying to lift across in. Semedo's awkward header back across goal, and Ollie did well to find Neves to clear. It's come off the head of top of Tarkovsky's head. Dropped to Dendoncker. Now to his right hand side to Semedo. Dendoncker to take it forwards. No real option in front of him.
No, I'm just trying to think of any chance that we've got William or Traore into the game, and we haven't.
No, we've definitely not put any kind of service into the penalty area. Then Donker goes wide to Traore. Maybe that'll change now. Traore hits his cross against Taylor, comes back to him, sets himself. Time to try and pick somebody out. Oh, Podence went down in the penalty area under a heavy challenge, but Darren England not interested as Neves lifts it back out to Traore on the right-hand side, and Podence is still down inside the box as Traore twisting and turning. And in the end, will win Wolves a corner. And he's still down, Daniel Podence, and 1 or 2 players are getting involved in a bit of nonsense. There's a few Burnley players stepped in to try and pick him up, and a couple of players shoving, and frustrations are growing. Tempers are flaring. They just all need to calm themselves down.
Well, the Burnley player's trying to drag Podence up, isn't he? And that was it then. So look, again, it's something that I think that Burnley probably just to unsettle Wolves a little bit more. Yeah, so just
getting a replay of a little bit of a shove in the back on Daniel Podence, Connor Cody, and James Tarkovsky having words with Darren England. And now Darren England will head over to his assistant referee on the far side.
He's gone to Podence, hasn't he, to see what is wrong. Let's say I think there's a bit of a push.
There's a lot of bodies, a lot of arms in there.
Just pushing.
Physios are going to come on and still treat Daniel Podence. Traore just getting a bit of a telling off. And has VAR spotted something that went on in amongst that? Did raise his arm here, Traore, and he did a bit of a shove on Cork. Shoves him, or Cork is making out that it's his face on VAR.
Shoulder.
Well, we're getting an official VAR check now, and Adama Traore might be in a bit of trouble. He definitely shoves at Jack Cork, but I don't think it's in the face. It's a little bit in the face, actually, from that angle. It's an open palm, and it's a yellow card, I think, to Adama Traore. That's what they've decided.
Tarkovsky as well, isn't it? Yeah, I think Tarkovsky's got the yellow as well, because I think he's the one who tried to drag Podence up.
Well, I know they're still saying they're checking it on your screen, but Adama Traore has been given a yellow card. And I can understand a yellow in there.
Yeah.
I don't think any more.
No.
In the meantime, Wolves will set up for a corner. Daniel Podence will have to go off the field, I think. So Wolves temporarily down to 10. And after all of that, VAR is complete on our screens. Nelson Semedo will take the corner, right-footed from the right-hand side. Might get Tom's view in a minute as to whether it should have gone back to being a penalty. We will find out in a moment. Wolves have 3 around the penalty spot at the moment, Saïd's trying to hide as Semedo's delivery comes in his direction. It'll come through to Neves on the edge of the box, teed up to Aït-Nouri, who rather sliced it, and Burnley with the numbers there again as Court got it clear. Neves jumped high though. Dendoncker for Aït-Nouri, who lifted it in field, but straight to Vidra, and now Wood to try and carry it forwards. And he was caught by Willy Bolly, who is fuming at Darren England.
Well, I thought he got the ball there just before then. Burnley just aggravated, didn't they? So they're just winding Wolves players up. It's unsettling. Well, they just need to calm down. Calm down, get their heads right, and get on with the game, Wolves players. Because they're only one team. They're 2-0 up. And if they keep doing that, they're just playing mind games with the Wolves players now.
Yeah, I think Wolves players are arguably angry at the situation, and also probably angry at their own performances right now.
Yeah, well, they've got to get themselves focused again on this.
Taylor's cross, Patricio came a long way out to claim it. Looks to throw it out early to Traore. Traore trying to set off, got the better of Brownhill, runs away from another and continues on here. Super run, and then look to be taken out by Lowton in a central area, and Matt Lowton's going to find his way into the referee's notebook.
Well, that's better. That's better from him. It's probably the first time he's actually done that and drove forward. I think I'd say it was a foul, but look, so you can see he's going past 3 or 4 players.
It's a fair old distance out this, but Ruben Neves might well fancy having a go. I think he's just sneaked an extra 2 yards there.
I just saw that as well.
Darren England was busy telling a Burnley player to go back, and now I think the referee might have spotted it.
Oh, he's got his magical foul out now, though, hasn't he?
I think Neves is trying to place it as close to that foam as Darren England will allow him. He's trying to find the bladder of the ball as well, where they blow it up. You can see players sometimes strike through it. It's not actually a bad range, this.
No, central. So look, is it about 30 yards, 25, 30 yards?
What's he got in his locker? Ruben Neves. Step up and strike it. It was a good hit, but it was straight at the waiting Nick Pope, who comfortably palmed it down and caught hold of the ball.
Yeah, so it's going to have to be a decent strike to beat him from there, isn't it? But, again, so they've just got to get themselves together now. Because we've got 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes till half time. And I think some of the players are going to need that half time to come, I think. To either calm down or settle down.
Lentz trying to lift it forwards towards Traore. Ben Mee challenged. Neves climbs high to find William Jose, who played it behind Ryan Aït-Nouri. He was a bit off balance as he tried to pass it. Volley forwards. Aït-Nouri miscontrolling on halfway. Sorry, William Jose miscontrolling on halfway. Westwood lifting it forwards. Wood again in that gap between Bolly and Cody. Bolly recovering this time. Nori back to him. Tarkowski lifting forwards. Oh, Neves' header nearly went into the path of Wood. It's going to be a Burnley corner.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a good job that ricochet, because that was falling straight to Chris Wood in the box.
Wolves not in a great place at the moment. 43.5 minutes played. There will be a bit of time to be added on, mainly because of that VAR check for the melee that ensued a couple of minutes ago. McNeil's corner, left footed from the right hand side, and it's 3. And it's a hat-trick for Chris Wood. Whipped in dangerously, and Wolves had plenty of numbers inside that 6-yard box, but nobody got up. And it was the simplest of finishing headers. Wolves 0, Burnley 3. And this has certainly been a first half to forget.
Yeah, it is. It's not been the best performance, has it? Defending-wise, even with the ball, we haven't looked great. Apart from that first 14 minutes or so. Since then, I think we've had Traore. Oh, he's got a free header. Got a free header. He's just pulled off whoever was marking him.
Willian Jose, I think, got caught watching the man rather than where the ball was coming.
Yeah, simple as it is, isn't it, in the end?
Well, don't go anywhere, folks. Tomo, Sam Ricketts and Carl Ikeme will be coming up very shortly. And there will be some strong words here. 2 minutes to be added on at the end of the first period. Taylor in possession for Burnley. I imagine there's going to be changes at half-time because this cannot go on.
No, it can't. No, it can't. With the way that it's going on. We're just offering nothing going forward at the minute at all. We're not keeping possession. It's a catalogue of things.
Vidra jumped over the top of Aït-Nouri and caught him. It'll be a Wolves free kick. Both players a little bit slow to get to their feet.
Thankfully, they both got up.
Dendoncker to Neves. Could be unsure the centre circle to his left-hand side to Bolly. Over halfway, exchanges passes with Aït-Nouri. Cody to try and switch it out to Semedo. But to remain Saiz. Now Podence. To go all the way back to Cody inside his own half. And find Bolly. Traore trying to nod down. He'll get a second chance to play it infield here to Willian Jose. Jose trying to strike from distance, but he drags the shot.
He's got a corner out of it, I think.
And one last opportunity in the last 20 seconds of the half. As Nuno ponders what to do during the break. Aït-Nouri to take it left-footed from the left-hand side. Podence coming short. It'll be whipped in. It's just over the top of Bolly. It comes to Semedo, who strikes, and it's a long way wide. And that effort rather sums up how we felt for the majority of that first period. Wolves, for the first 14 minutes, were okay and looking threatening. But then a Willy Bolly mistake nearly allowed Matej Vidra in. He made amends for it, Bolly, but 60 seconds later, Wolves were behind when the ball went over the top of Bolly and maybe got caught a little bit too far upfield. And Chris Wood got the better of Connor Cody and fired it into the bottom corner. Wood got Burnley's second 6 minutes later when Adama Traore tried to lay it back to Semedo to clear it inside his own penalty area. And Semedo on his heels, didn't come to the ball. McNeil did. He got there first and laid it on a plate for Wood to tap home. There could have been more for Burnley. Eventually there was, just before the halftime whistle went, when a corner from the left-hand side was nodded home far too easily for Wood. For his third, Burnley's third. It has been a very, very disappointing first half from Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, it has. So, look, I just think that the way that they've played, so look, in defensive and going forward, hasn't been good enough. So, look, they've let themselves down a little bit with the way that they've passed the ball. They've allowed Burnley to press onto them. And if anything, the mistakes, what they've come from, Burnley have punished them. And they deserve it. They say that it could be more than three. They've had a couple of opportunities. Vidra was a good chance. What they've had, I think Chris Wood had another opportunity as well. So it's, look, so there's going to be some stiff words said at half time, I think, in those changing rooms, and rightfully so.
Well, in the dressing room for Wolves and here on Wolves TV, make no mistake about it. We'll take a very short break, and then Tomo, Sam Ricketts and Carl Ikeme will have their say on what we've seen in that first 45.
Matchday Live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
Join the pack. Become a 2021 member online today. Whether you're a dribbler joining for the first time or an international fan supporting from afar. Being a Wolves member gets you an exclusive joining gift, £10 Megastore voucher, and exclusive offers from Wolves and our partners. For more information and to join, visit membership.wolves.co.uk.
Wolves Lottery is committed to helping Wolverhampton and the local community improve, whilst giving fans the chance to win some fantastic money-can't-buy prizes, excellent Wolves experiences, as well as £1,800 given away every week. For more information and to sign up online, visit wolves.co.uk/Wolves-Lottery.
We can't welcome you to the Wolves Megastore at the moment, but our online store is available 24/7. Visit shop.wolves.co.uk for huge savings on replica kits, training wear, and exclusive Wolves clothing ranges.
Wolves TV, the home of live uninterrupted radio commentary of every single Wolves game.
Here it is! Oh, you beauty!
But that's not all. Wolves TV also brings you extended and alternative match highlights, interviews with the team, behind-the-scenes features and training coverage, plus see every goal Wolves score from every angle.
The volley over the goal! That is simply stunning!
So check out Wolves TV online at wolves.co.uk or on the move via the Wolves app. Matchday Live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
Half-time at Molineux then, Wolves 0, Burnley 3. I tell you what, this is going to be interesting, boys, because if we hadn't have turned Carl Ikemi's microphone off at the start of the game, we might have heard some rather fruity language from you watching that at home, Keems. I'll come to you first. I don't know how you're feeling. There's a general feeling here from me and Tomo, which I think is best described by raging at what we've just seen in that first 45.
Oof. Yeah, it was outrageous, let's be honest. It just looked like they could score whenever they wanted to go forward. I thought we were one-paced going forward in our own play. And it was just mistake after mistake, and it kind of come to the corner near half-time, and I'm thinking, oh, please not another one. And then it happens. Disappointing. We knew Burnley would be up for this game. That they need the points, and we ain't even got started. We're still in the change room. It's poor goals conceded as well. Dissecting them. Yeah, I'll let everyone contribute to that.
I'd love to see the running stats.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the comparisons between the two sides. And listen, I know Wolves notoriously, we know the way they play, know the way the Burnley play, but the running stats, I bet there'd be a huge difference. Burnley have just outworked them. They've just swarmed all over them, don't give them a chance, intercepted passes, nicked it off. They nicked it off Bolly, nicked it off Traore, trying to have a touch. Burnley just not letting them do that, playing narrow.
Intensity as well, isn't it, Sam? There's no intensity to our play, and there's been intensity to Burnley's play, and you've seen it every challenge, kind of every, as you said, interception. Every time they go forward, it looks like with intent. When we're going forward, one pace.
They execute the game plan really well. Burnley, there's no right or wrong. There's a bit of a stigma about how you play football nowadays. You're not allowed to play direct because you should play football, but they're unapologetic about doing it. And all they keep doing is spinning it down the sides over the outside centre-back for Chris Wood, Vidra to run onto. And you're exposing, we spoke about it a lot, and a lot of teams don't expose the fact that Coates is a natural midfielder. He's not a centre-half. And so Saiz, and I don't know whether they're just getting bullied really a little bit, to be fair, with old-fashioned long balls into the centre-forward and saying, go on then, deal with that. Because Chris Wood's a strong boy.
It's dynamic as well. They've been dynamic, and they are getting it forward and getting it down the sides, but they look dynamic with it, and we look slow. And there's a lack of intent in our play all over the pitch, and it's shown through that half. It could have been more. It could have been more. It's really slow, Sam. Really slow. No intensity. One pace.
we look like we want an extra touch, we want an extra time, and we're not going to get it from Burnley. So look, Burnley are onto us straight away. So look, at both ends of the pitch, we haven't created a great deal, and we've made it too easy for them. So every time they go and attack, as Keem said earlier, every time they're attacked, they look like they're going to score, and it should be more than 3. So look, Vidra, I thought, should have done better with the one that come across, probably a little stretching a little bit. But they've got to be so careful. So look, you've got to sharpen it up. They've got to do something. We've had one run from Traore, what opened it up. But again, it's not enough. In 45 minutes to have your attackers, Williams hardly had a touch of the ball because of the passing to him or the feed to him. So look, they're going to have to step up the game to get themselves back into this, because if not, they're going to concede more goals.
I think they need this half time because they look like they call headlights at the minute, but they've lost their Wolves play with so much control. Normally, Codes will get the ball to play it into Neves will turn and play. But Burnley have gone, right, no, we're just going to go after you. We're just going to outwork you, roll your sleeves up and have a right good go at you. And Wolves now are a bit like, they look shell-shocked. Or I don't know what to do. I'm trying to take a touch to get a pass away to get some control, but Burnley aren't letting them do it. So it's got to the point where I don't think Wolves quite know how to get out of it. They don't know how to snap out of it. Wolves aren't a team that years gone by, you'd hear a manager say, hey, for the next 5 minutes, turn them, hit them in the channels, get up the pitch and make them defend a little bit. But that isn't Wolves' way. So, and they're struggling now to get a level of control back.
To be fair, that's what they're doing all the time. You're looking at the 2 fullbacks, when they get the ball, little ball down the sides in between Bolly and Conor Cody, and then they're picking out either Wood or Vidra. And they're getting in so easy. We've got to mark better. We've got to put pressure on the ball as well. We've got to try and stop the service to them. Because at the minute, so like you can see Burnley getting a few more, but also as well, they've unsettled Wolves. They've unsettled Wolves with the way that they've played. And they've got to get themselves and that mindset back onto the game.
You talk about mindset, boys. We made the point in commentary right at the start, because it was an okay first 10 minutes or so, but there were a couple of moments where it just felt like Wolves were waiting for the ball to come to them and Burnley were getting in front, Sam. And then it gets summed up by that mad minute for Willy Bolly, where he nearly let Vidra in, recovers superbly, then gets caught under the ball for eventually what leads to Wood's first goal. And there will be so many fans watching this who will go, we can accept people making mistakes. We cannot accept other people being first to the ball and looking like they want it more.
I'll just sum up this first half very simply. Wolves are waiting for something to happen. Oh, I'll wait for Neves to pick out a pass. I'll wait for Traore to go and beat 4 players. Burnley are making it happen. Doesn't matter who, they're just making it happen by intercepting the ball, running forward, fullbacks overlapping, real like basic old-fashioned football. 4-4-2, winger goes wide, fullback goes round and rolled in, crosses in. McNeil did it for the goal. Charlie Taylor stuck a few crosses in as well, Loughton from this side, from deeper areas. But they're making it happen. Wolves are just waiting, looking at your teammate going, I'm waiting for you to get control of the game. I'm waiting for you to get a shot off. I'm waiting. And Burnley are just the opposite.
Too late, isn't it, Sam? And we were talking about intensity.
Well, didn't he?
Sorry, Thomas.
So the second goal, where we passed the ball, got intercepted, and Taylor's crossed it for Wood. So look, because we're waiting for things, as you're just touching on there, to happen.
Yeah, so it's the intensity, and it's intensity of running to start off with, which is the first thing that you do as soon as you step on the pitch. It's that, and then it's also the intensity of passing, and you can show your intent with your passing intent, and the pace of the passing not been good enough. And sometimes it's just that little bounce of like fizzing it into people, and you start to get a bit of a buzz and a momentum going. It's just been like, we'll pass it here, come back out, which we kind of said against Sheffield United, which was a problem. Let's be honest. It was too slow. It was like a friendly, and we kind of come out in the sort of same mode, the friendly mode again. And Burnley aren't having it at all. They've got a lot to fight for, and they've done a number on us in 45 minutes. I'm kind of happy it's free.
So what do you do if you're Nuno in that dressing room now? Once you've got past the initial anger, probably, and the shouting, how do you then turn this round? Because you're in a situation where you don't want this to get even worse second half. You need some kind of response.
I think you get some legs in there. I think you've got to get Fabio Silva. I think William Jose for the third goal is, I wouldn't even call it token defending. He just didn't move. He just let Wood take a step back and free header. At least Fabio Silva will run round and work hard. And we're just basically getting outworked. We can't get control of the game because we don't work hard enough with or without the ball. We don't move the ball quick enough. So the first and foremost, got to get some energy levels in there.
Yeah, I think it can be as simple as that at times. Is that you just need more. We just need more from you.
Yeah.
You're second to everything.
Yep.
And I suppose I think Nuno will be making that point. We can dissect the goals of the mistakes, but the heart's been more than that. Not just the mistakes. It's been the intensity that's been disappointing. And we can live with mistakes. They happen. They're going to happen in the future. But you can't live with the fact that we've had no intensity to our game and Burnley are first to everything.
The goals have come just because they keep asking the question. They keep asking the question, they're like a little Jack Russell. They keep yapping away, around your ankles, and eventually something gives. And that's where the goals have come from, basically, because it's not one ball, has it? Like Tomo's just said, there's not one ball over the side, like where the first goal came from. It's probably been 5, 6, 7 balls. Sometimes Burnley are playing it without even looking. They know they're doing it.
Okay, boys. Well, Burnley are back out. Wolves will be rejoining them very shortly. Sam, Carl, thank you very much indeed. More from the boys at full time, where hopefully we will be finding some positives in a second half turnaround. As far as Wolves are concerned, they've got to do an awful lot to get something out of this. Don't go anywhere. Second half is next.
Matchday live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
The Old Goal Club has a new series, My Golden Game. Speaking to former and current players, coaches, managers and fans of the matches that meant the most to them.
It's a club who I have in my heart, and I always keep following it. I'd been back to Molyneux on a few occasions, and I never got a good reception, and that hurt me a little bit. Not that I thought I deserved better, but maybe because of those 2 games against West Brom, where I scored 4 goals in 2 appearances.
Check out the series so far, featuring the likes of Jodian Lescott, Kevin Doyle, Neil Emblem and Dennis Irwin.
I was absolutely delighted when they came in from England, and even more so when, after having a tough first 4 or 5 months, that we were on a bit of a roll and ended up playing in this fantastic game.
Old Goal Club, My Golden Game, powered by Blythe Group, available now.
Matchday live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
So just about to get back underway for the second period here at Molyneux. And we are back up and running. Wolves 0, Burnley 3. One of the worst first half performances of the season, you would have to say, for a variety of different reasons. Nuno has decided to send them back out.
Well, it's probably a case of, you got us into this, you get us out of it, probably.
And I think there are quite a few on that will have to have a long, hard look at themselves after the way they performed in that first 45 minutes. Experienced players as well.
Yeah. But it's just that you're watching people out there having an extra touch, you want more time on the ball, and you're not going to get it. This is a Burnley side who have been fighting for survival in this league, and they've come out on the front foot and basically dominated in every area of what you're going on.
Zayn Nouri on the left-hand side. So Wolves with Patricio in goal, back three of Saiz, Cody and Bolly, Semedo and Nouri, the wing-backs, Neves and Dendoncker in midfield, Traore, Willian Jose and Podence up top. Dendoncker trying to turn away from Vidra to Neves. Saiz manages to squeeze it through to Traore. Traore looking to try and drive towards the south bank, and Westwood tried to clip him, but Traore continues on here, and his cross is blocked by Taylor. And Taylor will get a free kick as Traore stabbed his foot out to try and get to the loose ball.
Well, at least that's a bit more positive from him. So with that run, but we need more of it. We need more of it, because the only way that you're going to try and push this Burnley side back is by taking the game to them.
We have played less than 2 minutes at the start of the second half. Burnley with Nick Pope in goal, who's taken this free kick from a good 5 yards further forwards than it should be. Matt Lowton, James Tarkowski, Ben Mee and Charlie Taylor, the back four. Josh Brownhill, Ashley Westwood, Jack Cork and Dwight McNeil, the midfield four. Matej Vidra and Chris Wood. He's got his hat-trick already. Former Albion man. Vidra's former Albion as well. I'll tell you what, if they play like this next week, Wolves will be the worst comments that are going to be made towards them. They're going to have to swallow up a little bit of criticism for the way it's gone.
Well,
if you think it's bad now, think what it'd be like if they played like that at the Hawthorns.
Yeah, that's not going to be good, is it? So more so with the fans there. The West Brom losing here at the home game as well.
McNeil to launch it forwards, headed away by Saiz. Lowton first to the loose ball. Tarkowski will try and drive it back in. Ollie slid in. Then Dunker finding Neves, who then plays it behind Aït-Nouri. He looks to clear it up towards William Jose. Ben Mee wins it in the air. Lowton first to the loose ball again. Vidra onto Brownhill. Flagger stayed down. Brownhill right inside of the penalty area, trying to pull it back, and Cody steps in and intercepts. Finds Aït-Nouri on the Wolves' left.
Again, it's too easy, isn't it? Just getting behind them. They've done it numerous times in that first half, and already they've started again. Just too easy. Got to be somebody marking them.
Saiz trying to get Semedo away. Taylor slid in. McNeil back over the halfway line in towards Vidra. Flagger stayed down. It's Matej Vidra up against Patricio, and he's round him and he pokes it over the line. And the flag has stayed down, and Burnley get themselves the fourth goal. It will be checked on VAR. But as things stand, Burnley have continued in the second half as they continued on in the first.
Well, so, I know VAR will check it, but again, just a simple ball forward. Yeah, he's just off.
Willy Bolly was very slow to move up there.
Yeah.
But I think he did just about make it.
I think he's just off. But again, it's...
If William Jose's goal at Fulham got ruled out by the narrowest of margins, you imagine this one certainly will be.
Yeah. Look, but again, it's... Yeah, he's just off. Got the lines there. The magical lines will pick it up.
Yeah, I don't think they even need to continue with the full line process. It looks very much like he is offside.
Yeah.
So that goal should be ruled out, but it will serve as a warning sign to Wolves. It is officially ruled out. No goal.
But it's a let off for them. But they keep getting caught with them runs behind. Wood and Vidra have done it numerous times in that first half, and they've started again doing it in this second half. Got to do better.
Lost again in midfield. Vidra for Cork. Say that, so I hate even saying it, but it just feels like Burnley want this more.
Yeah. They just look sharper, don't they? They just look sharper. They look on the front foot.
Aït-Nouri has a problem now and he's down on the far side.
I don't know if the ball hit him on the back of the head with the cross. He's holding his head. I think the ball might have struck him on the back of his head.
Well, Fabio Silva is amongst those warming up.
Yes, the ball's be a bit dazed. He's got up there, fortunately.
Gibbs White out there as well. Meantime, Burnley getting on with things, as they have done for the majority of this Sunday lunchtime fixture.
Just look at them now. So look there. We watch them over the far side, and they just look like really sharp, moving, passing the ball. And again, helps being 3-0 up, but they've done that from the start. They've tried to get into Wolves, tried to play quick.
Well, they hadn't scored 2 goals in a league game in the Premier League until they faced Wolves in December. Sorts of records might be starting to fall if they continue.
Yeah,
so
we
they
said
are
that,
amongst
didn't
the lowest scorers.
I remember you saying that. They hadn't scored 2 goals in one game.
I wish they played Wolves more often.
Yeah. So it is. It's always a tough game against Burnley. They always come up against us, and they always seem to know how to get into us. And again, they've proven it today.
Willy Bolly had time and then sliced a clearance left-footed out of play for a Burnley throw. There is just no sense at the moment that there is anybody in that Wolves lineup that is grabbing this game by the scruff of the neck.
No, we've not looked comfortable at all, have we?
Talk about the injuries and the players that are missing. Still a very good side that was put out today, and they have not performed. Semedo, crunching challenge from Taylor, and Taylor got the better of it, but Semedo first to the loose ball. And then out-muscled by McNeil. Dwight McNeil able to find Wood, who flicks it onto Vidra. And he's got Cork to his left, and Brownhill making a run through the middle, and it hit the feet of Saiz. But again, it's picked up on by McNeil.
Just seem to be getting everything, don't they? Just seem to be getting everything that. And again, it just comes down to just being in the right place at the right time, but also as well that commitment, what they've had to win this game. I know there's a lot on it for the Burnley. They needed the 3 points. We've got to take the game to them a little bit more. Again, was it 8 minutes gone in this second half, and we haven't really pushed in their half at all.
Yeah, one run from Traore is all Wolves have offered in an offensive sense. Burnley have already had a goal disallowed for a marginal offside. They could have just sat back in this second half and soaked up whatever Wolves threw at them, knowing they had a 3-goal advantage, but they're absolutely turning the screw on Wolves.
But I'm just watching the Burnley strikers at the moment when they've got the ball. And Vidra and Wood are just playing on the shoulder, just looking for that ball forward. And that's their game plan. Hit the ball early, just behind the Wolves' defence, and you got runners onto it. And that's what they've done throughout this game.
Saiz on for Semedo, down the right-hand side, 10 yards from the corner flag. And Semedo with a heavy touch. He will get the benefit of the throw, though. But again, it's just sloppy. There was no need to have such a heavy touch to allow McNeil to get back to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He shouldn't have even got anywhere near him.
It's got Podence down the line. Traore and Saiz it is that's short. Saiz back to Semedo, now to Traore. And he goes all the way back to halfway to Cody. Cody closed down by Wood. It'll be another Wolves throw. Semedo will be sent back a few yards to just behind the halfway point.
Yeah, it just seems to be that hesitation, doesn't it, from the players?
Podence back to Semedo from the throw. Infield to Traore. It's back to goal, caught by Westwood. Wolves free kick. Nuno in deep conversation on the end of his, or just inside his technical area with Rui Pedro Silva, his assistant. What do they do to change it?
Well, I was going to say that they'll probably bring Silva on for William.
Yeah, here he is, Fabio Silva's coming on soon. Stripped off and ready. Semedo to lift it into the penalty area. Flick on by Dendoncker. Neves then couldn't get over the top of the ball as he tried to help it back goalwards.
Let's give offside anyway. But yeah, so probably a little bit of energy from Silva coming on. Be a straight swap, I think, for William. He's not really gone into the game, and I would say like the service up to him hasn't been great either.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's not had a great game, but I do stand up for Willian Jose because you could have Raul Jimenez still playing. You could have Steve Ball still playing, but it's no good if you don't put the ball anywhere near them in the penalty area.
No, if you don't give them the opportunity to do anything with it, it's not good.
Strikers live and die by service.
Yeah.
And there has been no service. That's a Pope. Clears it to halfway. Cody's header's going to drop to Brownhill. Checking back in field to find Cork. Just too much time. There's not any pressure. McNeil actually miscontrolled it. He's managed to keep it in, and he still has time to get back on field and get to the ball. McNeil again.
Yeah, he's run, what is it, 20 yards? He's off the pitch by 5, and he still turns around and he's still got the ball.
Westwood for Cork. To Taylor. I say, I really was controlling this element, but you're beginning to wonder, is anybody actually going to put a tackle in? Goodness sake. Saiz sees it behind for a goal kick.
But it's not so much tackle, it's pressure, putting actual pressure on them.
It's Semedo who's coming off. So Traore will go to wing back. He's done it a couple of times against Burnley, having Traore play as a wing back. Remember a game up at Turf Moor towards the back end of the season 2 years ago. Wolves ended up losing 2-0. Best laid plans. They were behind after 2 minutes. And I think it was McNeil on that occasion that got the second. Fired it into the bottom corner. But hence for Willian Jose. To Neves, swept out to the left-hand side to Ait-Nouri. He's got Podence making a run just ahead of him. Ait-Nouri being tracked all the way by Brownhill. Now having to turn backwards and find support from Neves midway inside the Burnley half to Dendoncker. And Neves to Cody at the base of the centre circle. Pass into the feet of Podence, who helps it round the corner for Saiz. Saiz trying to set it forwards towards Traore. It was an awkward one for Burnley to deal with. It wasn't what he intended. They got it clear. Saiz in with a challenge. Dendoncker doing well. Traore holding off Cork and now trying to set off. Need to get numbers in that penalty area. Now can Traore deliver it? His cross took a deflection and it nearly squeezed in at the near post, and it will be a corner. Nick Pope reacted ever so well.
Well, that would have been a nice way to get yourself back into the game. Deflection, beating the keeper at the near post, but Pope just got his hand to it.
Traore's attempt.
Oh yeah, nearly caught him, but he's alive to it, Pope.
Just fingertips in front of the post. So we approach the hour mark. Wolves 0, Burnley 3. Burnley got everybody back to defend. Ait-Nouri's taken over corner duties from the right-hand side now. Left-footed in front of the south bank. It's whipped in and the goalkeeper comes and claims it on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Oh, you've got to have somebody blocking the keeper. It's too easy to come through a crowd of people. Nobody's putting anything. You've got to have somebody just standing there, just putting some kind of pressure on him.
Now Saiz's header. Wood has been able to get in front of him and now holding him off, and he will win the free kick.
I'm surprised he get booking. No. Again, it's just a simple ball down the side, and they've been really effective with it, aren't they, Burnley?
Ball looped up and came off the forehead of Saiz and went backwards. It's a nice piece on Matchday X this week with Saiz. It's one of 3 Wolves players who are fasting at the moment. That is an excuse for their performance. Just adds into a different element of it. Free kick was cleared to the edge of the box, and Brownhill's ball will go harmlessly wide of the left-hand post. David Rolls says we're long past the point of grabbing the scruff of the neck and need to grab them in the gentleman's region. So that entirely helps, but there you go. That's David Rolls' view. It's the hashtag Wolves Live if you want to have your say. Good or bad, and there will be a lot of bad. As Vidra gets onto the end of a headed ball forwards, left-hand side of the box, cutting back in field, just outside the area, intercepted by Neves. And Neves and Podence rather left it to each other, and thankfully, Westwood's pass wide went over the top of Taylor.
But again, they're just first onto it, aren't they? I think Westwood's gone in heavy there. He thought the tackle was going to come from a Wolves player.
Fabio Silva's touch, nice one. There's Willian Jose on the right-hand side. There's only Podence through the middle, so he'll look to carry the ball back in field and finds Neves midway inside the Burnley half. Neves wide to Ait-Nouri. Ait-Nouri twisting and turning, low cross turned away by Tarkowski. I wonder whether Tommy was just better off just getting that in early. By the time he twisted and turned.
Well, it was rolled into his path for him to do it first time, and he decided to check back, and I think that's hit it in early.
Here he is again, Aït-Nouri, trying to drive back in field. Twisting again. He's got Fabio Silva left-hand side of the penalty area. Fabio Silva's curling cross, headed away by me. Saiss to Traoré on the right-hand side of the box, just outside of it now. Back to Saiss, onto his left foot, trying to whip across towards the far post. Oh, and it just evaded Fabio Silva.
Better ball in, though. Better ball in from Saiss. I think that Silva probably thought that it wasn't coming to him because Williams just gone up in front of him. It's a good ball from Saiss to hit in. Oh, yeah. Took him by surprise.
62.5 minutes played at Molineux. Wolves 0, Burnley 3. Made one change, and Gibbs White is heading back out to warm up. How much longer? We'll leave it before making another. It's headed by Neves, then Donker intercepting. Traoré lifting it forwards to Fabio Silva. Gets control, hits the ref, but that just set it up for Neves nicely. Neves out to the left-hand side to Aït-Nouri. Podence had pulled wide. Daniel Podence taking over. This ball through, blocked off by Brownhill. Willian Jose finds Saiss, who passed towards Traoré, was intercepted by McNeil. That element of being on the front foot again. And McNeil, this time stopped in his run by Saiss, who looks towards Traoré. I think Traoré is trying to say he just wanted it in behind.
Yeah, they're looking sharp, though. Still Burnley on. They are definitely on the front foot for everything.
Taylor for Cork. Left-hand side for Burnley. Back into their own half to Ben Mee. Phil for Tarkowski. To lift it forwards. Saiss got the better of Chris Wood that time. Traoré's clearance to the halfway line. Ben Mee was challenged unfairly by Fabio Silva, though Nuno, with his arms out wide, either questions that decision.
Again, if you shout loud enough, you get a free kick. So it's happened in the first half for a throw-in. Yeah, they've called Gibbs White back, I think. He's been called to come back.
And Vitinha, maybe.
Vitinha, yeah.
I imagine Daniel Podence might be one of those who comes off. He's been really struggling over the last couple of weeks, has to be said, since he came back. Or Lowton trying to drive on here for Burnley, striking low, and a good save by Patricio down at his right post. Had to be at full stretch there, Rui Patricio.
Well, there's a 50-50 tackle there. Then Donker and Lowton, I think he was. And Lowton comes out on top.
Might just have been creeping wide, but Patricio had to make sure. Westwood to whip it in, right-footed from the left-hand side. Referee's seen something he doesn't like again inside the 6-yard box. Burnley got plenty of players in and around Rui Patricio. And it's whipped in, and Patricio comes and claims it.
Yeah, good hands, good hands.
There's a Burnley player down, and we'll have to stop because there's a head injury here to Tarkowski. Wolves are trying to get going.
Yeah, the referees stated that he's head injury.
So Vitinha and Gibbs White are going to come on. Seeing a replay of Tarkowski. Might have just got a hand in the face. An awful lot in there, to be honest. Watching that replay.
He didn't see much in it, did they?
No, he looks all right.
Yeah.
Patricio to his right-hand side to Saiss. Question will come. Are Wolves going to switch to a back four? Who else comes off? If Daniel Podence, if we're right in saying is going to be one of them. Maybe Willian Jose, but so that'll be entirely effective with Gibbs White and Vitinha either side. They take off one of the midfielders. As Taylor gets there ahead of Traore, and now McNeil, and Saiss is a little bit isolated, low one in. Cody well positioned at his near post. Oh. Saiss gave Dendoncker an awful ball, but the Belgian did well. Fabio Silva back to Bolly, sweeping it to his left-hand side to Aït-Nouri.
Did well there, Silva, holding it up.
Now Neves on halfway, just the left of the centre circle for Dendoncker. For Daniel Podence. Turns back in field for Willian Jose. He's got Traore making a run to his right. Sets it up for him. Traore
put it in.
Pulls it back to Willian Jose instead, and he lifts a cross in. It's run in the air. It'll drop towards Neves, who fires it goalwards, blocked by Tarkowski. Aït-Nouri back to Ruben Neves. Lifts his cross in, headed away by Ben Mee. Neves trying to nod it forwards once more. Fabio Silva trying to work it on the edge of the box, and he looked like he was caught. Burnley get the ball away, and Fabio Silva is down with a head injury. It might be a little bit more than that. It looks to be okay. He's going to get himself to his feet now. But that stoppage will allow this substitution to be made. Pedro Silva just preparing the board.
It just fell on him, didn't he? Cork, I think.
It's Neves for Vitinha.
Substitution for Wolves. Replacing number 8, Ruben Neves.
Of course, he's had his COVID isolation the last couple of weeks. Might play a part in that change, and here's Daniel Podence, who comes off for Morgan Gibbs White.
Number 18, Morgan Gibbs White.
So a couple of youngsters with an opportunity to stick their hand up and say, we want to be in this team for the rest of this season, to make our mark and force our way into the plans for the next campaign.
I'll tell you what, so we've got 20 minutes to do it.
Well, Gibbs White's just played a lovely ball to Adama Traore, and Traore, with two players around him, smashes his cross behind. It'll be a goal kick.
Yeah, so look, got an opportunity. So it hasn't been the best performance. Got a chance to go out there and just show them what they can be doing in this team for the remainder of the games.
So if you have any specific questions you want us to discuss with Tomo, Carl Akimi and Sam Ricketts after the game, let them in, use the hashtag Wolves Live. We talked through the goalkeeping situation pre-game. We will go through each area of the lineup, the remaining matches we have of this campaign. Discuss where we are, what needs to be done. As Traore clatters into Vidra, who is up and absolutely okay without any sign of needing any kind of treatment there. It's remarkable when you heard the scream.
I was going to say, if you shout loud enough, you get free kicks and throw-ins. It's happened in the last few weeks.
Wolves used to be great at these dark arts.
Yeah.
And they've lost their way this year with it. It's McNeil lifts the ball towards the far side of the penalty area, Tarkowski's header, and it's nodded behind by Dendoncker for another Burnley corner. Talk about that Tottenham Hotspur documentary on Amazon where Jose Mourinho was talking about it. I feel an awful lot of it came from stuff that Jota used to do up top. He was always in the ear of referees, and first line of defence is your forward line.
He did it well, didn't he? He did it well. He did it well.
Jay Rodriguez, another former Albion man, being prepared to come on as Burnley ripping a corner left-footed from the right-hand side. This time, Bolly heads it out of the area to Westwood. Wide again for McNeil. Looks to lift it back towards the far post, and Dendoncker did well. He had two Burnley players around him. Vitinha wins a free kick on the edge of the D, on the edge of the penalty area. 72 minutes played, just short. Rodriguez is not yet ready to come on. We are waiting for him. And it's Vidra who will be replaced.
He's done all right up front for him, hasn't he? He's caused problems to Wolves' back line.
He's been a nuisance.
Yeah.
Gibbs White to Dendoncker. Ball drop to Vitinha. Try and get Wolves moving. Willian Jose was caught late, but he found Fabio Silva. And the referee will pull it back for the initial foul on Willian Jose. Vitinha. He's not really allowed to take it from where he was. He was a good 15 yards ahead of it. On the turn here, Vitinha finding Gibbs White. Saiz to the feet of Traore. Traore 10 yards from the corner flag, and again his cross goes behind for a goal kick. Not his day.
No, it's not.
No, not any of them's day. That's the problem. You can maybe get away with one or two having an off day, but not 9 or 10.
No, there's been a lot below par performances today. For whatever reason, just haven't been in the game, apart from that first 10 minutes or so. But once they've got that first goal, Burnley, there's only been one team that have pushed on, and it's been them. They've been a nuisance for all the Wolves players. They've been in the face, they've been running, they've been chasing everything down.
Well, let's be honest, they wanted it more. And that's the most disappointing thing, really. Say, from a fan's perspective, you can accept people make mistakes. It happens.
Yeah.
But what you can't accept, and many fans would agree listening to this, and if they're in the stadium, they'd be voicing their displeasure at it, is when people stand off, is when people don't make the same amount of commitment and effort.
Well, you just saw it there again. The keeper's sliced a kick out, Pope. The ball's gone in the air, and we've got two players, and the Burnley player runs between both of them and wins the ball. That just sums up what this game's been today.
So Burnley throw, just 10 yards inside the Wolves half. Burnley have gone into that mode now where they are just very comfortable eating out the time. Wood onto Rodriguez, and Rodriguez having a go from distance, and it's a long way over the top.
To be fair, they've looked comfortable throughout the game, haven't they, Burnley? Not just in the second half. They've looked comfortable, not really threatened them at all. I'm just thinking, apart from the deflection cross from Traore, I don't think Pope's had that much to do.
No. Traore flicked it on towards halfway from the goal kick out. Vitinha winning possession back. Gibbs White couldn't keep hold of it. Neil back to Ben Mee, who lifts it forward. Sais's header, and so many Burnley players swarming around it. Nobody in a gold shirt was there, but a loose pass by Brownhill straight to Fabio Silva, and then
keep it, go out left.
Overhits his pass through.
He's trying to force it onto William, and the support was coming from Aït-Nouri out on that left-hand side. But again, that kind of sums up the game, doesn't it? Decision-making, taking the wrong option.
14 minutes remain. Reminder that you can watch the under-23s in action against Norwich tomorrow lunchtime. 1 o'clock kickoff from Agbra. Two players have let the ball bounce through to Wood. Dendoncker gets it from him.
The only thing, he's done that a couple of times in this second half. The only thing I can think of is into the sun. Is the sun in his eyes?
Perhaps. But
Burnley didn't have any problem in the first half.
Well, that's the point. And I was just about to say they were kind of doing it in the first half as well. So It might be a slight excuse second half. It doesn't excuse the way they went about it first half. There's Traore. Runs away from McNeil, but straight into Taylor. Wolves throw. That under-23s game, by the way, against Norwich. A Wolves win would go an awful long way to securing a place in the promotion playoffs in PL2 Division 2. So if you can offer your support, give it a watch. Here's Vitinha running into the penalty area, and he'll win Wolves a corner.
That's good. So he's starting to take it a little bit. Vitinha, he's looked sharp when he's come on.
He will take the set piece as well. He's very much in the realms of players who are putting a hand up and saying, I want to start these last couple of games. We'll look to deliver this one in. Whipped high towards the far post. The goalkeeper comes and the goalkeeper claims.
Again, we've got nobody on him at all. Nobody.
Pope has a bit of a problem here. He landed really awkwardly. Might have just got a little bit winded. Bolly was challenging behind him.
Yeah, he's just come down heavy, hasn't he?
12 minutes to go. Still Wolves nil, Burnley 3. And if they are clutching at straws for positives, at least Burnley haven't added to their first half scoring.
Fortunately.
Thanks to VAR.
Yeah. I like that VAR.
No one's ever.
I love a line. I love a line on VAR.
No one's ever going to take that seriously from you. It's Saiz. It's a lovely moment of levity, though. Thank you for that. It's the first time in 78 minutes that I've smiled, really. And me to launch it towards halfway. It's out of play for a Wolves throw. Saiz throwing it backwards to Dendoncker. To Cody, a couple of yards outside the penalty area. Vitinha had come short. Try and find Gibbs White. Did just enough to get it to Saiz. Infield to Vitinha. Look at Burnley players swarming around Wolves, though. Oh. Big, strong challenge centred all the way back to Cody.
Well, you just look at that. Wholehearted, wasn't it, from Ben Mee? Just went straight through it. Took everything out the way of it. He won the ball first.
Fabio Silva with a loose touch. Aït-Nouri got there first this time. Passed by Bolly to Vitinha on the turn. Gibbs White was under real pressure for McNeil. To go backwards to Saiz. He finds Cody. Switching the play out to the left-hand side to Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri settling for a throw. He would be one that Tomo probably would shield from too much criticism, Aït-Nouri.
Yeah, he's tried to have a go, hasn't he? He's tried to get forward. I know it's been difficult. It's difficult out there on his own.
Now here's Traore trying to run past Taylor. And again, his cross is going to lift behind for a goal kick.
Well, that's
just not being able to get his foot round it.
That's 3 on the bounce, isn't it? He's not looked comfortable at all, has he, when he's running down that line, though, to cross the ball?
This is why I talk about protecting Willian Jose a little bit from criticism that people have given to him, because what's he supposed to do?
Well, I don't think he's had any supply at all, has he? I don't think there's been a decent ball up to him.
If he'd had the kind of opportunities that Chris Wood had and he hadn't scored, then you'd accept it. He plays his part in the build-up. He gets himself in the penalty area, and then the cross consistently goes behind for a goal kick. Oh, Vitinha's lost it in midfield, and it's Chris Wood bearing down on goal into the penalty area. Chris Wood, and this time it's saved low to the left-hand side by Patricio.
I'll tell you what, he never caught it, did he, Chris Wood? But he's got him twisting and turning again. Never really caught it at all. And on the way that he's finished today, that's probably an easy opportunity for him.
All forwards headed away by Tarkowski. Wolves throw on halfway. 8 minutes left to play. Wally playing a 1-2 with Vitinha. Lifted force towards Fabio Silva. Ait-Nouri to try and carry it on. And he's done well to wriggle his way through past a couple of players here, Ait-Nouri. And it needed Cork to come across and provide that extra line of protection after Ait-Nouri had beaten at least 3 in that run.
Yeah, again, he seems to be the positive note from this Wolves team today, isn't he? Driving forward. Just a bit unfortunate there. They just overrun it. That extra player of Burnley just getting back.
Yeah, he's certainly performances last couple of weeks, I think, have been getting better and better. And I would suggest that he is beginning to look, he still has stuff to do defensively to improve his game. But you can see exactly why they wanted to bring him in.
Yeah, well, you can clearly see that he's trying to improve on it.
Traore couldn't keep it in from Saïs's ball. It's high out wide. 7 minutes left to play. So Ait-Nouri has been okay. Cody got in a bit of a muddle for Wood's first goal, but I don't think you could really put anything against him for the rest of it. And I don't think there's many others that deserve a bit of leniency, really. Westwood getting a free kick inside his own half. Let us know what you think. Use the hashtag Wolves Live. We will get some post-match reaction from Tomo, Carlo Kimi and Sam Ricketts. Then we will probably look to move on as quickly as possible, if we're honest. There's the one benefit, Tomo, of a midday kickoff on a Sunday is that we can all get home and have a bit of sunshine this afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Come Burnley again, though. Traore getting the better of Cork this time. Saïs's attempted clearance. It's gone back into own penalty area, and Patricio just left it for a moment.
Well, he could have picked it up because it was a tackle, so he could have picked it up. But he just backed off, didn't he? Then Conor Cody just left it to him, and then he decided to come out and get it. That kind of sums up the way that we've been in that hesitating bit today.
Oh, now Saïs has got himself in trouble, and it's Rodriguez into the penalty area, pulled back for Chris Wood, who's going to tee it up here for Westwood to strike it, and that's Burnley's fourth. It's another calamity on an afternoon to forget for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Saïs lost possession out wide. Rodriguez drove in to Wood, who teed it up to Westwood, who smashed it into the far corner. Wolves 0, Burnley 4.
Yeah, well, that just shows you everything about the game today, doesn't it? And just sums it up a little bit, I think, that last goal. Again, Cello get overpowered by the closing down of Burnley players. Get ourselves in trouble. And then a good strike from Westwood, to be fair to him.
And for the third time this season, Wolves are staring at a 4-0 defeat for a team that was built on its defensive solidity, who went years without conceding that many goals.
Yeah.
3 times in one season.
Yeah, it's kind of sums up the years gone, hasn't it? That we haven't looked at the same side for whatever reason.
Well, at the very least, you would hope there is a reaction, and there can be few better games to demand a reaction than what this first team have next.
Yeah, well,
the Hawthorns next Monday.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they play like this against them and they say, look, the fans are not going to be happy. Got to be up for that battle. It means a lot to a lot of fans.
Taylor's throw. Saïs got a touch to it. Dendonka backwards to Bolly. And there will have to be a reaction after this.
Yeah, there's got to be. There's got to be, because you can't carry on playing like that. We said how they're going to play the remaining games in this season. Well, they can't play like this.
Few home truths may need to be said in that dressing room, not for the first time this season.
Well, you'd hope that the players would be saying it to each other, and also I'm sure it'll come from the coaching staff as well. They know the standards that they set themselves, and they know this isn't good enough for a Wolves performance.
There's Vitinha trying to make something happen. Now to Gibbs-White. Fabio Silva then miscontrols. And away drives McNeil, but he ran into Saiz. Vitinha to the loose ball again. Right-hand side of the centre circle. Last 3 minutes to be added on. Willian Jose away from 2 challenges. Has Aït-Nouri to his left-hand side. Cutting back in field and trying to switch the play to Traoré. Traoré just ran into Chris Wood, who was tracking back. Traoré wins it back, though. Saiz having to go from distance, and it's over the top of the crossbar.
Is that about our second effort at goal, is it? Still didn't hit the target, but again, I think you just want to draw a line under this performance today and the result.
Second effort in the second half.
They're counting that Traoré cross as an effort, are they?
I think so. I mean, Wolves have had majority of possession, but 5 shots to 2 in the second half. Tells you an awful, horrible story, really. Chris Wood driving on towards the left-hand corner flag. 90 seconds of the 90 remain. Wood still holding on to it. It's eating up a bit of time, although I'm not entirely sure why they are. They're winning 4-0. I don't need to see this one out. This game had gone an awful long time ago from Wolves' point of view.
I think he just got himself into the corner and just didn't want to go anywhere. I think that was just a case of that. I don't think they'll be running into the corner. I think it was just a case that he found himself in the corner, so he thought, I'll just keep it here.
Rodriguez to Taylor. Fancy flick, but the offside flag has gone up. Wolves will clear their lines. After getting this out of the system, they'll have to clear their minds.
Well, fortunately, they've got a week, haven't they? A full week. Let's try and put things in place and to have a look at what's gone on.
They will hope that João Moutinho will be available. What does he do at the Hawthorns next Monday? The debate will rage. Back 4 or back 5? Who's in midfield? Who's up top? Given the fact that they were hooked off in this game, Semedo and Podence keep their place in the starting lineup.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of players thinking about whether or not they're going to end up playing.
3 minutes being added on. And a long ball that's over the top of Traoré and out of play for a throw.
Like you said, apart from Aït-Nouri and probably Connor Cody, in patches, you'd think there's going to be a question mark over anybody in the side for next week.
Taylor's throw down the line over the top of Wood and Saiz, and Cody playing it backwards to Bolly. Brownhill chasing an awful long way.
So I'm saying they're still pressing.
Yeah, 2 players, Rodriguez and Lowton, were closing in on Aït-Nouri, who won a free kick this time. Say, as frustrating as it is, that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've worked harder.
They've chased it absolutely everything down in this game. And they say not just one. There's been like a few players in the team hunting in packs, as you say.
Then Donker first the loose ball this time. Cody for Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White to carry it forwards. And wide for Traoré. 2 players with him again. Having to twist and turn Adama Traoré. This time his cross was going into the penalty area and it was blocked by Taylor for a Wolves corner. We have 90 seconds left to play. Another chastening experience that there have been too many of this season. Tinius corner, right-footed from the right-hand side. Lifted in and headed by a Burnley head and back out for another corner. Tinia try and whip it in once more. Not a bad delivery again. It was off a Burnley head. Fabio Silva on the volley, high over the top of the crossbar. And 40 seconds left to play.
Yeah, I think it's just a blow your whistle now kind of thing to the referee.
Yes, please.
Yeah, just put us out of our misery.
So there've been some difficult games so far this season, but this might well be the worst, I think, Tomo.
Yeah.
You know how it pains me to say that.
I know. West Ham won away wasn't great either, was it?
But at least it felt like we had a lot of the ball and we looked a threat. We were just hit on the counter in that game. You wouldn't have necessarily said that West Ham were necessarily the better team. Whereas this game has been frustrating and disappointing. And for the third time this season, Wolves have been beaten by 4-0. A Chris Wood hat-trick in the first half had set Burnley up nicely. Wolves just didn't really have anything in them to come strong in the second period. Burnley had a goal disallowed by Vidra at the start of the second half by VAR for a marginal offside. A Westwood strike late on, but the icing on the cake for the Clarets. It may well be the result that ensures that they will stay up in the Premier League for another season. Wolves have got to make sure that this season does not peter out with a whimper. It finished Wolves 0, Burnley 4.
Yeah, so look, it's I'll just think they'll be happy just to put this one behind them. I think the Wolves. So at the end of the day, so look, you just watched the Burnley side who had a lot more fight in them. So look, they were sharp. They were first to the ball. Scored 4 goals, hat-trick for Wood. But again, so look, you can see the disappointment from Nuno going off, and you can see what it means to Burnley. But again, you've got to be up for that one next week.
Right, we'll take a very short break and then don't go anywhere because Carl Ikeme and Sam Ricketts are up next on Wolves TV's Matchday Live Extra.
Matchday Live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
Join the pack. Become a 2021 member online today. Whether you're a dribbler joining for the first time or an international fan supporting from afar. Being a Wolves member gets you an exclusive joining gift, £10 Megastore voucher, and exclusive offers from Wolves and our partners. For more information and to join, visit membership.wolves.co.uk.
Matchday Live on Wolves TV. Listen for free online at wolves.co.uk or on the move anywhere in the world via the Wolves app.
Full time at Molineux then, Wolves 0, Burnley 4. Lots of you are getting in touch. You can have your say, use the hashtag Wolves Live. Let's go to Sam Ricketts first of all. This time, we wondered what they would do at half time, whether there would be a response. Did you see one?
Slightly, to be fair. I think Burnley just played the game. They knew how to control the game, 3-0 up, so they stopped asking as many questions. They just basically saw the game out, which meant Wolves naturally ended up having a little bit more control of the game. But ultimately, the game was lost early on. We spoke before the game. It was all about not the attitude, not questioning the players' attitude. Certainly not. Burnley have far more to play for. They outworked, like I said earlier, they played the game like they were Jack Russell, just nipping at everyone's heels all the time, asking questions all the time, and pressure told, and the goals came.
Carl Ikeme, you said before the game that this was an opportunity for for players to prove that they want to be involved in the shake-up, that they want to stick their hand up and get an opportunity and play for next season. Did they?
I suppose a game like that, it's probably best not to try and give a reaction or an overreaction I thought it was a poor performance all round, really. We didn't really get going. I think a lot of the goals epitomise what we were saying at half time with intensity and just sheer willing to try and make something happen. I think Burnley did that. Even the fourth goal, again, it was them pressing and trying to make something happen. And it was kind of the tail of the game, really, that they kind of came with an intensity, a will, a desire to work hard and have a different sort of work ethic to us. I'm not questioning our work ethic in the sense in that. I'm just saying they just wanted it a little bit more, or a lot more than us today, and it showed all over the pitch. And as we said at the start of the game, I still think there's a lot to play for in the season. I think there's still a lot to prove, but performances on that won't help some of the players going into next season.
You'd struggle to pick someone who actually played well. I'm not saying everyone was really bad, but like really well. Like you're struggling to think. Go on, then. You actually did well today. You had a good game. Tom, I don't know what you thought, but it's just...
Nobody really impacted the game, did they, Sam?
No.
You can't really say that anyone had an impact on the game in any sense. And I suppose you could pick out individuals for the goals, but it was collective as a team. We were poor all round. We can dissect the goals and look at where we could have done better, but we were just poor all the way around. And I thought Burnley's goal, epitomised the day of what we were saying about intensity and just wanting it a bit.
Do you think this is where like Wolves have struggled a little bit this year? We said about the transition, but Burnley sort of like did a number on Wolves, trying not stereotyping things, but they're a British team, really, aren't they? More or less all English British players, and who just like roll their sleeves up and have a go and just couldn't cope with it. We have a lot of foreign lads who've come into the team this year, into the Premier League, and this is obviously one end of the spectrum of how to play.
I think you could say that, Sam, but at the same time, maybe a little bit disrespectful to Burnley because they've. I suppose we could say it's quite direct team, but they were
just ask questions.
They were asking questions, and to be honest, they looked to put us in trouble a lot of the game, and it looked like they had a game plan for us, and it works. And we've struggled against Burnley a lot since we played them, and it seems like they've got our number a little bit, which is disappointing in the sense where if you look at a lot of the goals and a lot of the game, it wasn't necessarily that. Some of it will go down to game plan, but a lot of it was our own doing as well. And I think that's a disappointing game. I think you can lose games. You're always going to lose games, but there's ways to lose games, isn't there, Sam? And I suppose as a manager, you probably couldn't accept today.
No, but then, like I said at half time, it's a hard one for Wolves because Wolves, we know the way the Wolves play. Their way isn't, and listen, we played for Kenny Jackett at Wolves. They would have spelled in that game really said, listen, just hit the channels, turn them round and get them running back. But that isn't what Wolves do. That isn't how Wolves relieve pressure. They relieve pressure by moving the ball better, moving the ball quicker and getting a grip. And they just didn't do that today. I've seen teams come and try and press Wolves high. I've seen Liverpool do it, man. And Wolves have played through them. But they couldn't get through this Burnley team today. For whatever reason, ball speed, angles, everything about Burnley, they just outworked.
Yeah, I think we can talk about the errors, which of course where the goals come from as well. But there's like too many players that we didn't really see enough of as well. And I think to sort of look at just point Saiss out for the last goal, just because it is the recent thing I was in my memory. You can point individuals out for the mistakes, but also individuals weren't available for passing, weren't involved in helping us relieve pressure. So it's not just the individuals that made the mistakes; it's a team.
The forward boys didn't hold the ball up. William Jose wasn't holding the ball up. Pedance was giving it away when he's trying to play first time so many times first half. And it all culminates in, like you said, their pressure. So I know an error led to the goal, but it wasn't. It's because they're having to defend the same ball 10 times as opposed to once or twice.
Definitely.
So how do they change that, boys? Then how do they get back into that mindset where they are, the forward line are the first line of defense, and there are players helping out their teammates and showing for the ball and getting into it? How do you get yourself into that? Because I made the point in commentary, if they play like that next Monday, they will get even more ire from supporters who will already be angry at the way it's gone today.
Yeah, they've got to play as a team. They've got to defend as a team, attack as a team. But today, it just didn't come off for them.
So how do you change it?
Working on the training ground. You've got to work on the training ground. You've got to make sure that you get everybody on the same page. You've got to get everybody working, knowing what their job is within the team. But also as well, getting the players to motivate themselves. So, if playing for this club, so you've got to work hard. That's going to be, everybody expects you to do that. And then next week, especially against West Brom, it's going to be a tough game. They ought to watch this game today and thinking, we can get at Wolves. They've got to stand up for it. They've got to work harder than the opposition. That's what you've got to do. We always say you've got to win your own individual battles. We had to win a battle today against a team who knew how to play against us, who caused us big problems. But you've just got to get going. You've got to go into the training pitch, get those spirits up again, get playing again. We was too slow. We've got to be sharper on the ball. We've got to have more options on the ball. So there was a load of things today.
I'd nearly say it was like we didn't know how Burnley were going to play, but the players didn't expect it. So we quite pragmatic. We play like a bit of a mid to low block, and we'll let the team have it, go fullback, centre back, fullback. What Burnley did, they just missed it out. They just went, all right, then we'll flick it over the top. And they weren't playing long balls. They were passing the ball, little areas for the balls to run onto. So they missed out like the bit where we like to be quite pragmatic and slow, and we'll let the centre backs have the ball. They just changed the game. Right, we'll miss that out. Cute little balls down the side, and we'll all swarm around it afterwards. If any knockdown or Wolves player takes a touch, we'll take it off them. And so next week will be different, and I'm sure the performance will be 10 times better. Partly because they're playing against a different team. And a different style of play. We just didn't look ready to play against what we were coming up against today.
I think the intensity will change. I think you'll see the difference because I suppose the players will know what it means to the fans, and they'll realise it's a big game, which shouldn't have changed from what happened today. I think that'll be the disappointing thing. I think we can talk about passages of play, passing patterns and everything like that. But I think ultimately it will be down to their attitude and towards the game and their desire to sort of do the dirty bits to start off with, to allow them to play and to add that intensity and kind of add the intensity to passing as well. I know because we are fans ultimately as well, we can almost say, well, just put tackles in and try harder or run harder, and sometimes it's not always the case. Wolves, as Sam said, are not that sort of side where they're probably going to flip it down the channels and stuff like that. But if you're not that side, then you have to do it with your passing, and you have to show more intensity with your passing. If
you're going to play that way, you've got to be good at it.
Yes.
Otherwise today happens basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's another thing. I think just of a little criticism. I think sometimes we rely too much on Traore just to get the ball and start running at people. I just don't think. I think we need to be better than that with the ball and create more situations where he's getting the ball where he's 20 yards from goal instead of 8 or 18 in line with the penalty area instead of 30 yards where he's got to take a couple of players on before he even gets close to the penalty area to put a ball in. I think there's plenty of things to be worked on. I think there's plenty of things to be worked on for next season, but I think the number one thing when you step on that pitch is intensity, and we didn't have it.
Okay, boys, thank you very much indeed. Difficult one to discuss today, no doubt. The recriminations will go on inside that dressing room. They will probably get themselves back on after a couple of days of recovery onto the training ground and hopefully be massively improved to play West Bromwich Albion next weekend. My thanks to Sam Ricketts, to Carl Ikemi and to Andy Thompson. Thanks to you for joining us on this Sunday lunchtime. Don't forget the under-23 is up against Norwich tomorrow, 1 o'clock kickoff. It's live and for free on Wolves TV. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you tomorrow.